those who can't speak their mind, sees the world through a lens so clear, finds the truth without any fear. Oh, she's warming it up day and night, with a heart that's growing bright, helping those who need a hand, guiding them to understanding, counseling hearts so wise and true. In her mind, visions of the new, sees potential in every soul, loves her compass, loves her goal. Oh, she's warming it up day and night, with a heart that's growing bright, helping those who need a hand, guiding them to understanding, counseling hearts so wise and true. In her mind, visions of the new, sees potential in every soul, loves her compass, loves her goal. Oh, she's warming it up day and night, with a heart that's growing bright, helping those who need a hand, guiding them to understand. Woke up before the dawn, she's got her armor on, fighting for those who can't, champion with a loving chant. Investigates the hidden truth with a pen sharp and couth, unlocks doors with every word, and justice never goes unheard. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough, advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Canceling in every call, patching up before the fall. She sees the good in every face, spreads hope all over the place. Like Dr. Phil with a softer touch, opinions from below so much. Her guidance is a shining star, lifting lives both near and far. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough, advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. With a heart so tough, advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Makes the world a little more wild. Makes the world a little more wild. The dawn, she's got her armor on, fighting for those who can't, champion with a loving chant. Investigates the hidden truth with a pen sharp and couth, unlocks doors with every word, and justice never goes unheard. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough, advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Canceling in every call, patching up before the fall. She sees the good in every face, spreads hope all over the place. Like Dr. Phil with a softer touch, opinions from below so much. Her guidance is a shining star, lifting lives both near and far. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough, advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. with a heart so tough. Advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Makes the world a little more wild.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Whoops, let me get the welcome off the screen. Just one moment. How do I get this now? Oh, there we go. Hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So tonight's live stream, we're going to be talking about a few different cases and going over unsealing indictments and what are sealed indictments. Could there be sealed indictments in some of the cases that we have been discussing? James Yablonsky, missing 2 years as of June 12th, very similar to Sebastian Rogers' disappearance. Then we have still Summer Wells, and we also will be talking a little bit about the new interviews from Lilly and Jack Sullivan, who are the more recent disappearance of the siblings in Canada. And of course, as you all know, Suzanne Morphew. Finally, it seems like justice is on its way because Barry was arrested. And that came after a sealed indictment. So we have the two young siblings, Jack and Lily Sullivan. Picture it, right? They vanished from their Nova Scotia home without a trace. Then we have 15-year-old. We were told that Sebastian Rogers was autistic. So unfortunately, when we heard about Sebastian, it was an autistic 15-year-old that mysteriously disappeared from his Tennessee bedroom. That left behind extreme amounts of questions, more than any answers in his disappearance. Then Suzanne Morphew was the Colorado mother whose case took a shocking turn with this sealed indictment against Barry, her husband. And James Yablonsky, as I stated, he was 2 years recently since he was last seen leaving his father's home. He took his father's truck, his father's phone. There's speculation that he may have taken a pew-pew as well. And he was 13 years old, and that's out of Wisconsin. So he drove off in his father's truck, leaving behind a campsite and a mystery that has been 2 years of not being solved. These are still unsolved cases. And then you have Summer Wells, as I stated earlier. She's 4 years now. That was also recent, right? That was the 15th of June. Yablonsky was the 12th of June. Oh, it's such tragic discussions, but there is a lot of new developments in these cases, and I really want to go over them. There's a lot of things I haven't gotten to watch. I've skipped through, so that's when I like to go live and, look at it again with all of you and get your feedback and discuss what connections, what similarities are there in these cases? Are sealed indictments the key to unlocking justice sometimes? Could that be happening? Just like with Barry Morphew? Or are they not? And some of these cases are still just a mystery with very little, if none, evidence. Hi, Show Poodles. Hi, Brandy. Hi, Mama. How are you doing? I hope you're all doing well. Let me know whatever questions you may have. Join in on the conversation. What are your theories? I'm really interested. All right, so let's buckle on up. We're going to have a couple hours of a night of mystery, some truth seeking, maybe a few revelations. Let's unravel some of these secrets together. I'm thinking we're going to start out with a quick little overview of what exactly is a sealed indictment. And this is an attorney out of Tennessee that I thought gave a good synopsis of it. It's a little under 3 minutes long. And I think it's a really good explanation. Just so you know, if you'd like to join the memberships, I so appreciate you for doing that, Joe Poodles. We do have memberships now. I'm going to have the flamingos and kangaroos. I think it was Zoots and Boots months ago that said if I ever finally monetized, because I hadn't, it took a long time for me to finally say, okay, I'm going to monetize. And she was saying, the babies, I'm always, doing a million things with the kids. And then I'd like to come on and hang out with you guys at night when I'm doing stuff, multitasking with Mommin, we would call it, that I should do the kangaroo, right? Because they have their little babies in the pouch. But I love flamingos. So I added the flamingos too. And no pressure at all. But I did figure it's time to monetize. It does help, with the StreamYards. That's going up. I think it's like $60, $70 a month now. It's just like everything, right? Everything has gone up, 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 up. Lolly, how are you? I was just catching up on the live you did yesterday. I didn't get to see yours today. You've been doing an absolute fantastic job. Little Redo, it's so nice to see you. I hope you're doing well. I hope your nails turned out beautiful. They look real pretty. I'm going to have to get a design like that. But yeah, so I think that this is really interesting, the whole sealed indictment part of everything.
Hey guys, Jeff Goldtrap in Nashville. Hope you're having a great day.
What's his name? Goldtrap Law.
Hey guys, Jeff Goldtrap in Nashville. Hope you're having a great day. What is a sealed indictment? What is a sealed indictment? Great question. It's come up many times. Sometimes you'll see the normal process, I would say the normal or the common process, take place. Someone is arrested, taken before a magistrate and charged and brought before a judge in general sessions, maybe with a preliminary hearing or another technique. The case is bound over into criminal court and there's an indictment. That is what I would say is the normal or the frequent way of getting into criminal court. Another way is what's called a sealed indictment, where an indictment is sought. The police, the detectives, the district attorney may go to the grand jury for your county, maybe Davidson, Rutherford, Wilson, Robertson, Sumner, and they may present their case and then get an indictment that names one or more persons. I've seen an indictment with better than 45 names on it one time. In fact, there was an indictment with upwards of 80 names on it one time. They can get an indictment then against a lot of people and go out in one fell swoop, try to arrest all those people. It can be done. It is often done. And that's with a sealed indictment. In other words, the indictment is not public information. It's not part of a record until it's executed, until the police go out and execute that indictment, arrest that individual. Well, Jeff, does that mean I can't make bond? No. With a sealed indictment, there is a bond usually attached, a bond amount attached to that indictment to say, execute this sealed indictment, go arrest Mr. ABC, and if he or she is able to make a bond of X amount of dollars, then that's the bond on this charge. If that bond is too high, then we talk about motions to reduce bond, different topic, different subject on a different video. Hey, I'm Jeff Goldtrap. What is a sealed indictment? It's an indictment.
Sorry, he's replaying. I was having a little tech issue. No, now there's two of me because one's on the iPad, even though I closed it out. Oh, that's great, Lolly. Did they win? Not that it matters. I mean, it's always lovely to get to see them play, I'm sure. I know I loved seeing my older son and all their stuff that he used to do, the football and stuff. Oh, I know, little Redo. I hope so too. Oh, you're not late. I'm always late because I'm always getting the time zone wrong. Always. It's awful. I'm so sorry about that. I'm trying really hard to figure this out because a lot has changed. A lot has changed online. If anybody wants to come up, as long as I know you, you're more than welcome to come up and give your take on things. So I'll let him finish. But that's what I was thinking. There's a lot that goes into these sealed indictments. And in certain cases, there's some signs, in my opinion, and I am not an attorney at all, but I do have some close loved ones that are lawyers and paralegals. And we have one in the chat that has years of experience. I won't say who it is, but there's a lot of people that do have some knowledge that you can ask and, see what their thoughts are and stuff. And from the consensus of the few that I have asked, they were saying that there are some signs, and we're going to get into some of those signs, that there may be one going on, right? And they do it secretly because they don't want to spook somebody when they're building a case and have them run or something, or witness
by
intimidate.
The prosecutor, and not known to anyone until you are arrested. I hope I've answered some questions. If I've created more questions, simply reach out, leave a message on this video in the comments, leave a message in Tennessee Legal Questions. Come join Tennessee Legal Questions.
So I went through some of his videos on his channel, and I just thought he was really good at kind of getting down to, the main points of a sealed indictment. Unfortunately, my notes that I have on Grok, I'm not, for whatever reason, able to easily access them on my computer. So that's why I was trying to get on the iPad, so I can just go over some of the sealed indictment information, because I was told that there's certain signs. So bringing in a DA could be right in the beginning, and you might have investigators saying that they have absolutely no evidence. You may see nothing and hear nothing. It could get very quiet. And they're doing a lot of different tactics because they don't want to give away what is actually going on in this sealed indictment. Very interesting stuff. Hi, Christy. How are you? Oh, I hope he feels better. I hope he feels better. Have you guys ever heard of any other high-profile cases with the sealed indictments? I was looking into a few that were actually pretty interesting. So like we just heard from the lawyer, and I gave you his little link in the chat if you'd like to review that again. Oops. Technology, I tell you, it's like a love-hate relationship that I have with it. So it's a formal accusation that's issued by a grand jury. It remains confidential until the defendant or defendants are arrested, right? Because sometimes there could be slews of people in a sealed indictment. And then you have to wait for the court to order it unsealed, which I think with the Barry Morphew, right, I'm pretty certain that they did unseal. Most of that is available now. I've been catching up on that case with Allegedly Innocent. She's the one that really educated me on Suzanne and what happened. So I've been over there catching up. Allegedly Innocent. I can drop her link if you would like it, if you don't already, have her in your YouTube subscriptions. She's done a fantastic job. And that was something that I think was going on. Just awful. That case is just unbelievable. And it did take 8 years, right? But it happened. So never say never. Never say never. So certain circumstances or indirect indicators can suggest there's possibilities of sealed indictments. They're not definitive, right? So we're just speculating. Like I always say, I have a little disclaimer. Take it as if we're having entertainment only. We have open discourse here. Everything I say is in my opinion. It's a hypothesis. We're hypothetically speaking. I do try to source everything from different searches and news and published articles and interviews and statements and things of that nature. But I still ask that everybody do their due diligence and come to your own decisions, do your own research, never take this as professional advice or any legal advice of any kind. And we watch a lot of different shows, different news, different interviews. So that's under the fair use. And I appreciate each and every one of you. In America, we still have the freedom of speech. It doesn't mean, though, that everything can be said, because we do have YouTube terms of service. So I try to keep everything, within a moral compass where we're nice and respectful. But a lot of times the content when we're doing true crime can be very triggering. So I just ask that you're forewarned that some things could be triggering to some people, and thank you all again for being here. Now that we got that out of the way, this is a speculation, right? So it's not definitive, but here's some of the indicators that there could potentially be a sealed indictment, right? Unusual law enforcement activity. So if you notice increased attention from law enforcement, surveillance, unexpected visits, inquiries from federal or state authorities, then it could indicate that there is an ongoing investigation that might lead to or involve a sealed indictment. So when there's an ongoing active investigation and there's somebody that is continuously saying that there's still an investigation that's open and active, it could potentially mean that there just might be sealed indictments sitting around. We've heard about that a lot, right? We've heard that Sebastian Rogers is still a very active investigation. We also just heard an update from James Yablonsky, which I'm going to play in a few minutes, that there's been a turn in his case and it's actually active. So very interesting. Subpoenas or requests for information. Receiving a subpoena to testify before a grand jury or requests for documents from prosecutors might suggest an investigation is underway. Sometimes, if parents had done certain interviews on YouTube where certain things might have been said on different channels or different, call-in shows, you may have somebody that requests information. So maybe an investigator would reach out to a YouTuber. I'm trying to think, how do I word this? So I do know, I believe there was one or two channels that had the stepfather of Sebastian Rogers, Christopher Proudfoot, on, and they were contacted, I believe, for their shows on that. I can't remember definitively. I feel like it was Smiley's Story World, but I'm not 100% certain. If anybody remembers, if you can let me know in chat, that would be wonderful. But that could be a sign of a sealed indictment, right? We're speculating, hypothesizing, but those things could be signs. Oh, and do you remember there was that, not too long ago, there was that dispatch audio, and we did a live here where I logged into Broadcastify. Hello, Trishy. Thank you so much for coming by. Hi, Lisa. I'm praying for you. I hope you're doing okay, honey. Lisa B recently lost her husband, Tom. So let me just get into what else was there. Oh, so on this Broadcastify that we listened to, we logged into Broadcastify and we went over and we went through the actual dispatch audio, and there was a call to the house in which Sebastian Rogers was allegedly last seen in Hendersonville, Tennessee, and to the address that they were serving some sort of a warrant. Just very interesting side note, right? With our speculating. And then what happens sometimes? There could be a sudden arrest. No charges, no announcement, no nothing. Just like Justin from Clutch Them Pearl says, FBI, open up. Knock, 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 knock. They are there. And everybody is arrested all at the same time if there's multiple people. No notice. So sudden arrests without any prior charges. So the sealed indictments are usually unsealed right when the person's arrested. because the need for secrecy obviously has diminished, right? Once somebody's in cuffs, getting in the car, wee woo, wee woo, that's kind of like an ambulance sound. Then, cat's kind of out of the bag, they're arrested. You don't really have to have the indictment sealed anymore. And then you get all of the media or public speculation. So like tonight, the cases that we are talking about are primarily pretty, known, except for James Yablonsky. I don't see a lot of people talking about James Yablonsky. James Yablonsky is somebody that I've been looking into, praying for. And I mean, we're going to show a little bit about him in a moment, but a lot of times you'll get in these high profile cases that media leaks will kind of speculate stuff. You'll see media leaks and public discussions that might hint at sealed indictments, as seen in cases like, let's see. Oh, this is one of the cases. United States versus Manafort in 2017, where charges were kept secret until the defendant's arrest. However, leaks are always a little unreliable, right? We know that. Not all leaks are real leaks. Some leaks are crummy, not accurate, just a tiny, it's not the same. Hi, Sammy, how are you? It's so nice for you to stop by. Oh, thank you, Sammy. So it was Smiley and Crime Time Buzz. So that's what I'm sure. There may be a lot of others that just haven't been public, right? I wouldn't tell people if somebody contacted me, because if it's involving a case, and I'm not saying Crime Time Buzz or Smiley shouldn't have said anything. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying, I don't know that everybody would want to come out and talk about it, right? It would depend. So if you didn't do an interview or something. Lisa, well, we could pray, and I'm speculating tonight that there could possibly be. We would never know because they're sealed. So we won't know unless there's arrests. But we're talking about some of the signs for sealed indictments, and then I'm going to just do a little quick thing on James Yablonsky, because I really wish people looked into his case a little more. There's a lot of similarities with Sebastian. His father is so heartbreaking to watch. That man has been advocating that his son did not leave on his own accord since the day James left in his father's pickup truck. He has been telling everybody that his Snapchat videos that he made were under duress, and that his son was not going to live in the woods because there was a family farm that he could go to and live on his own if he wanted, if he needed a break. And his favorite color was also green. And so there's a lot of stuff with his case that I'm really trying to pray and hope that some other people hear about James and they start incorporating him into, even if it's 5 minutes of their coverage on like Sebastian or Summer or Lilly and Jack. I know there's so many cases, and unfortunately I just don't have time to look into a lot of them, but the ones that I have, seen, the least I can do is, if I want to, if I'm going to be looking into them, I want to share them. It's just at least a little piece of, something that I could try to do. I know I don't have, thousands and thousands listening, but I mean, James Yablonsky would fit perfectly right in there to just get him out there. It's 2 years. Let's see, what else was there? Oh, another big sign. If associates or colleagues or witnesses involved in related activities all of a sudden are not cooperative, they start avoiding contact, they seem really unusually cautious, kind of sus and out of the ordinary, it could suggest that they may have been approached by authorities in a confidential investigation. So if all of a sudden you have somebody that's talking and they're acting one way, and then the next day they're like zipped, or they're skipping things and they're not wanting to talk about things, or their behavior is abnormal, Could be because they were approached and talked to by investigators, right? And they feel they don't, maybe they feel a certain way. Maybe they feel guilty, or I don't know, we're speculating. But that's witness or associate behaviors. So you can kind of pay attention to the behaviors of others if things are heating up and investigators are coming back and they're asking questions and things like that. And then you also have court records with limited information. So some jurisdictions will list sealed indictments on public court dockets with minimal details. So for example, you'll see like case numbers without any defendant names or charges. If you observe an unusual high number of such entries, it could indicate sealed indictments, possibly for a large-scale operation like a sting. Now, that's not really accessible to the average person without specific legal access. But then again, sometimes a lot of these records are public. It's just all about the keywording and knowing how to search the databases, or going in to your local municipality, to your local, records rooms and different things, or the courthouse and stuff, and looking into the databases. Most of them are online now. So I'm not really sure. I don't know about that, if it's only available with specific legal access. Well, obviously, like court stuff that's, not for the public, then you wouldn't be able to. So just remember, like, there's no, direct confirmation to confirm the existence of a sealed indictment before it's unsealed, right? The secrecy is designed to prevent defendants from fleeing, tampering with evidence, harming witnesses, intimidating, all kinds of things. So we'll never know for sure if they're sealed indictments until they're unsealed. But I thought this was worth talking about, and maybe giving people some faith, because I know with Suzanne, so many people were so, at a loss. And then when they found her, and it took so long for Barry to get arrested, it took such a long time, right? They found her in the fall of 2023. I'd have to double check. And they found BAM in her system and everything when they, just horrible, horrible case. But while it may have taken time, it happened. There was a sealed indictment. And he will be facing a court of his peers, right? He will be facing exactly what so many thought was going to be the worst injustice imaginable. And a lot of times we have to be, I know even for myself, I'm like, how is this possible? There's so much information. There's more red flags than I've ever seen in my life in certain things with certain cases, right? And I don't get it. I'm like, why are they not arresting? You don't have to have a body. We have cases and cases and cases. One of my favorite shows is Cold Justice. That's one of my favorite shows because they go in there and those ladies know what they're doing. And they do things without bodies all the time. There's lots of stuff, but a lot of people, I know a lot of DAs especially, right? They don't want to do a case because it's so concerning that you could end up with a Casey Anthony situation or like OJ. So I understand. I know it takes a lot more than what we feel it takes to convict somebody because you need it to be beyond a reasonable doubt, right? We need to know that the evidence is overwhelming enough that you have no reasonable doubt left in your mind, if you're a juror, that this person did whatever they were charged with. But it is hard. It is hard sometimes, it does feel like it's taken forever and it's an injustice and you can't believe it. And then you have these cases that help us to remember that sometimes justice does prevail. And Barry now he's in jail, right? Now he is not a free man. And I know with Karen Reed, we have very split. Some think she should have been convicted. Some think she shouldn't. I personally think, unfortunately, just from what I heard, and I didn't get to listen intently, but from what I heard, I would have to give the opinion that the investigation seemed to lack a lot that would help me to feel beyond a doubt that it was proven. Just a lot of the stuff with the officers and I get it. I know that there's all these other things, but I'm saying if we're just going off of the way that it was presented to the court, well, this is how justice is supposed to work, right? We need overwhelming amounts of evidence. Even though it's awful, even if you know somebody's guilty. Sorry, guys. I don't want you arguing in chat. We all have our opinions, and we can agree to disagree. But I can understand it. I can understand why they said, no, in that case. So let me give you a little update on James Yablonsky real quick, if you guys don't mind. Do you mind if we switch over to him really quick? Hi, Amy. How are you? Oops. All right, let's pull this up. Let's see. I had it all ready to go. And it never ceases to amaze me how I always accidentally close the tab. Because if I have any videos, I have them in a playlist and I have them open until I'm on and I'm blabbering away to you guys and I hit the X and there it goes. Just disappears. All right, so this is one. Okay. This is from WKOW 27 News. I'll give this link to you in chat. Oops, what did I do? Okay. I bring up James Yablonsky. I have a little, this is James Yablonsky. And he's been missing 2 years since the 12th of June. Oh, this darn banner. Sorry, guys. So sad. Such a sad case. Let's do a little. They go really fast.
2 years since a Sauk County teenager went missing. James Yablonsky left his home early in the morning on June 12, 2023, and hasn't been seen since. Chloe Morrissey spoke with James' father about how his life has changed since that day.
He's on my mind all the time. That's why I try to stay busy.
Life still goes on for Bill Yoblonski.
Working on that antique tractor to get ready for a customer. He would have loved that.
But 2 years later, his youngest son, James Yablonsky, is still missing.
I just want him home.
Video captures James leaving his home on June 12th, 2023, and driving off in his father's van. This is where that van was found off of Highway 12 in Baraboo. About 100 yards into the forest, investigators found a campsite with clothes, toiletries, and Bill's phone that James had. But James was nowhere to be found. This case is still grabbing national attention. America's Most Wanted Missing Persons just featured James's story in an episode. But Bill makes sure everyone in his community is reminded of James.
See, it's been on there so long, it's faded.
A reminder of the birthdays, holidays, milestones that have passed.
He'll be 16 in December.
But while lost time can't be made up, Bill is prepared for the day he hopes James is home.
I bought him a boat. It was already in the works before he left, and he didn't know about it. He loves to fish. Doesn't need a lot of work, but it's a project for him to do when he gets here. He gets back home.
Your hope in him coming back has not wavered one bit since he went missing?
Nope. I believe he's alive. I just wish whoever's got him would turn him loose and send him home. Because I know somebody has him somewhere.
In Baraboo, I'm Chloe Morrissey.
So that's the case.
Detectives
has gotten to me. It really has. James Yablonsky reminded me so much of the similarities in Sebastian Rogers' case, especially their favorite color being green, and, you know, different rumors and different things that we've heard that surrounded Sebastian. And then you have Seth Rogers out there begging to, you know, with this, oh no, the music. Sorry about the music. And then you see James Yablonsky's father, and it's heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. Yes, Little Red, he does. He does. It's just heartbreaking. Don't get me wrong. I don't want the poor guy to start going on channels and have, you know, the awful, I mean, look what Seth has gone through and what happens sometimes, right? But at the same time, I mean, that's up to him. If you're trying to find your son and he wants to go on channels and things like that, then obviously I'm never going to judge and say don't, because it does keep the case out there. And right now, I've seen the last 2 years where he says it's like nobody really talks about James Yablonsky. Really, really, really sad and shocking. Now, let me just pull up a little more on James. And I know everybody really wants to hear, you know, the speculation and the hypotheticals and everything on the Sebastian case and everything like that. But this is important to me, and I want to get this done in the beginning so that if anybody listens on the replay, that hopefully they'll stick around and just learn a little bit about James. Because Sebastian, the Sebastian's army is definitely not going anywhere. They're doing everything. You have, Primetime Buzz, Smiley Story World, Lady Freedom's Raw Narratives. You have Lolly. Lolly's doing a lot. And then you have, you just have so many different channels covering Sebastian a lot, but not James. This is a whole documentary where the police officer calls in. I will give it to you. And this is over an hour long for anybody that's interested. I'm not going to play this now, but I will show it to you really quickly. This is Locations Unknown. And they do a whole hour on James Yablonsky. And this was back 9 months ago. And they have some of the officers on there and they discuss James's case. And it's very interesting. Oh, it's only a few hours, I think. Let me see. I had it pulled up before. One moment. Let me see how far. It's in Wisconsin. So he was last seen in Reedsburg, Wisconsin. Let's see. How far is Reedsburg, Wisconsin, from Nashville? Or I can do Hendersonville. So, well, obviously it's north. So you go through Indiana, Illinois, and then into Wisconsin. So it's not in the center of Wisconsin. It says that from Hendersonville, it would be 9 hours. But I don't know how accurate that is because I didn't remember it being that far. Oh, maybe Indiana was. Yeah, I think it was only like 5 or 6 hours from a part of Indiana that I was looking at. That somebody was talking about. Oh, that's neat, Amy. Thanks for sharing. Let me bring up the Snapchat video so you can hear. Oh, for Pete's sake, I have to log into everything again. Oh. Well, this is a pain. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to bring it up on TikTok, and I forgot that I had to do a whole master thing on the computer. I must have, I don't know how, but I must have hit a bad link. It was one of those days. It's not letting me go into TikTok. I can't get into X. No, I can't. Oh, this is a pain. Because TikTok has the best video clips on. Hold on. Where is it? I just want the Snapchat videos, not all of these videos. Let's see. While I look for that, I'll let you guys get a little update about James Yablonsky from last year's update. Clipping it.
No one who cares about me. It's not their fault. It's no one's fault. It's my fault.
These words are among the last Bill Yablonsky has heard from his son.
I just can't figure out why he did this.
Shared in a video on Snapchat shortly after the 13-year-old went missing.
I feel like I want to explain it, but I don't know how. I'm scared, I'm sad. I have no emotions anymore. I've lost them. I'm not processing anything. My brain is, something happened to it.
Something happened the morning of June 12th. That's when sheriff's officials say they got a report that James, who had just finished 7th grade, left his Reedsburg home in the middle of the night in his father's van. But they found that van some 25 miles away near Devil's Lake State Park, and nearby, a makeshift campsite with James's things.
This is all they found in the campsite.
James's father, Bill, shared pictures of what detectives shared with him.
3 pairs of pants, 3 shirts.
It's his backpack?
Yep, from school. His pillow, because it's a compass.
Were you actually able to see the campsite that day?
They would not let me go up in there.
Authorities did take canines to search the area, but no sign of James.
Dogs never hit anything. That tells me somebody went in there, or he went in there, set that stuff up. If it was him, he set that stuff up, sat down on the ground and waited for somebody to honk a horn. He came back out the same way he went in and got in a car.
Authorities say an analysis of electronics shows James searched traveling out of state. There was a suspicion he may be living off the grid. And among the things missing from the Yablonsky home were survival guides and one of Bill Yablonsky's guns.
It's a .380 semi-automatic pistol. He got my one of my safes. I don't know how he got in it.
He does know for a while the focus was on him.
Why do you think you are a suspect?
I think everybody's a suspect until they find out differently.
The FBI helped conduct a polygraph, which Bill Yablonsky passed.
So when they said to you, did you kill your son? What did you say?
No, they asked me if I had anything to do with my son missing.
And what'd you say?
I said no.
But as the weeks drag on, the suspicion online grows.
Some of them are just saying, father killed him. What do you say to people who contend that?
It pisses me off. It upsets me because I love my kids and I'm doing everything I can to get them home. I had nothing to do with it. I don't know how much more I can prove to everybody I had nothing to do with that. Him missing.
He's posted a $10,000 reward, pushed to get James on the National Missing Kids database.
And he just had him on America's Most Wanted, the same one that did Sebastian Rogers and some others. I mean, this father has done everything. He took his life savings as a reward. I'm sorry, is the music too loud? Please let me know. Even with the fair use, I have to have something going or it'll strike constantly. Even if I try to blabber as many times as you're supposed to, it still happens for some reason. Yeah, Amy, it was a very makeshift campsite a couple times. There was a lot of similar things that I think it was CJ said that they stumbled on with Sebastian. The same thing with Sebastian Rogers. That's why I was saying there's some similarities. Not saying they're connected. We're just, discussing different, speculations or similarities, compare, contrast different cases. And I did notice there was an interesting attribute to that, because they said they were coming on different campsites as well when they were out searching for Sebastian Rogers. The music isn't too loud, Trishy. Thank you. I know, Lisa. Well, I've talked to you about James. It's really just, I don't know why more people don't talk about him. I know his dad tries everything he can. But then again, I don't think that the father wants to deal with any hoopla, right? So he's very specific on who he talks to. And I can't blame him, because if there is something happening with predators luring teenage boys or certain ages or anything like that, we know there's a lot of rings and there's a lot of P words that were just arrested. We just had a bunch in Tennessee. We had Operation Protecting Tomorrow last year as well. That was another big one. You don't want to give or tip off anything. You want to find your child, and you want to find them safely. And if you cannot find them alive, you want them back so they can be laid to rest, and you want justice. So I can understand being very cautious with not wanting to spook or tip somebody off or, things like that. But I just really hope more people pick up his case. I'm sorry to be so redundant with you all tonight.
And he waits. What do you think happened?
I think somebody coaxed him into leaving.
Why would that be attractive to him?
I don't know. I didn't even know he was on Snapchat.
Snapchat, where this video appeared showing just the dash of the van and words he's convinced someone forced his son to say.
I'm sorry, people, I can't make it.
Bill Yablonsky says James was not suicidal, but is instead being held against his will somewhere out of state.
You do think he's still alive?
Yes, most definitely.
Why?
I just feel that in my heart that he's alive. James, we love you very much. We just want you home. You mean the world to us, and we just want you home.
The Sauk County Sheriff's Office would not provide anyone to speak on camera about the case, but a detective there did tell me there haven't been any substantial tips for weeks. They may search the woods again, Patrick, after more leaves fall.
What about James's mother?
A lot of people ask about that. The detective told me they did speak with her, but she was not involved in his life for a significant period of time, and she didn't have any relevant information.
Isn't that interesting? This is one more quick little interview from his dad.
Goes missing. James Yablonsky's father is sharing his frustrations with investigators looking for his son. NBC 15's Marcus Arsvold spoke to his dad today before.
Doesn't he look so much like, remind you so much of Seth Rogers, his eyes and the bags and it's just.
He set out on his own search.
William Yablonsky still gets tips about his missing son, James, but not as many as he'd like. Still, he continues searching the bluffs for his son on days like today and this weekend.
I just want him home.
7 weeks after going missing, 13-year-old James Yablonsky's story is being picked up by national news outlets.
People care, and that's what I wanted. Story pretty much died until I put the reward up, and now it's back in the news.
James' father, William Yablonsky, also sees social media comments pointing the finger at him.
Did police ever say you were a suspect?
No.
So do you think you're a suspect?
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
Yablonsky feels this way because he's heard that the Sauk County Sheriff's Office is contacting distant and estranged family members from his past.
That bothers me. You're looking in the wrong spot. Find my son. You're wasting time. Start looking where you should be, not at these spots here.
Yablonsky says he's frustrated investigators are...
I got another one for you. There's another similarity. I don't know if Sammy's still in here, but I wanted to tell her, because I know a lot of times, Sammy, you ask, you remind me of myself when we're looking and comparing and contrasting, and not a lot of people understood why I was trying to do the see something, say something with the letters to Esme guy, except for everybody in my regular life and everybody else. But for some reason, when I was talking about the guy online, people were odd, but Sammy would jump in, and she was great at asking questions and understanding what I was saying, is we always have to see something, say something. And if you need something to be investigated, because there's a lot of red flags, you have them investigated. And I found that the behavior of this guy, who has been very involved in inserting himself into the search of Sebastian Rogers, we needed to make sure that, he was investigated and that people were aware of his odd behavior. Anyway, one of the things that I wanted to point out is he also had shared James Yablonsky. There wasn't very much that I saw that this guy, the solo searcher, had shared, but he did share James Yablonsky 3 times, which is why I started looking into James, because that is how I found out about him. The solo searcher that was in the Facebook group for Sebastian Rogers, that was searching at Natchez Trace State Park while all the YouTubers came down to search, and he was over by the rudder and things for Sebastian, he had shared James Yablonsky. And that's how I found about James. And he also had shared some interesting news articles about James. And one of the things that I noticed when I was watching that news article is that James's grandma had a missing child years ago as well. James's grandma, we will hear her in the news clip, talk about another missing family member that they had years ago. Well, didn't Summer Wells have a missing family member too? And then James Yablonsky had a family farm that I have to go back and listen in the news, but I'm pretty sure that it was somewhere in the area of Kentucky or something like that. But there was just all these similarities with these cases. And oddly enough, it was from the solo nomad guy that was out, that's done the fundraiser. They started a fundraiser for a charity cyclist thing from, we're going to show you that in a moment. I want to make sure that I just show you there's a lot of interesting similarities with all of these cases. And I don't know what it is, right? I'm not saying they're connected. Everybody's always innocent until proven guilty, obviously. But I found it to be very interesting, these similarities. Very odd similarities. And I'll pull that up. Let's finish listening to this while I pull that up.
His background.
No, it's hurtful for one. I love my kids and I'll do anything for them. I wouldn't do something like this by hurting my son. No way. I'm strict with my kids, and my boys will tell you the same thing. I'm very strict, but I want them to succeed and do better than I did.
He says he's complied with every request from police.
I've been open and honest with the officers. I've turned over all my memory cards for my cameras at my house, at my business, everything.
Do you know where your son is?
No. If I did, he'd be home right now. That's why I put out the reward, because the tips had stopped pretty much, and I just want him home. I will do whatever it takes to get my son home safe.
Yablonsky hopes that $10,000 reward convinces anyone who might know any information to come forward and call 911 or the Sauk County Sheriff's Office at 608-355-3508. You can see that number on your screen right now. For now, in Baraboo, Marcus Arsvold, NBC 15 News.
I was going to show you the GoFundMe, and the GoFundMe looks like the guy pulled it down. I know a lot of people showed it on their streams. Yep, he took the fundraiser down. Support my charity bike ride for Sebastian Rogers. And I believe, wasn't that charity bike ride going to Wisconsin? Wasn't it a 2,000-mile bike ride to Wisconsin? Does anybody remember? I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked too much. It does, Little Redo. There is so many different similarities in these cases. So you have to ask yourself, is it copycats? Are people copycatting certain things? We know that there's a lot of predators that sneak into the online sphere, right? They sneak in. And Chris Proudfoot came out recently, well, not that recent, like 2 months ago now, a month ago, and he did this tour around YouTube again, and he had said to Cluminati's husband or partner, Cletus, if I recall, that Sebastian had lost his phone privileges a few times because he was doing things on his cell phone he wasn't supposed to be doing, and that Seth and Katie had asked, to give the phone back. So it's very interesting that in the beginning, Christopher Proudfoot, who was supposedly, he, by his own words, was not even home the last day that Sebastian Rogers was seen. He wasn't even there, but he had said that Sebastian had no phone access, right? He was not able to go on to the PlayStation, that Chris only gamed with people he knew, because Chris was a gamer. A lot of these people are gamers. So they go into these games and they interact and they have their discords and they have all these ways of talking and hanging out, kind of like we do here. And that Sebastian was never on the internet. He was very monitored. Everything was locked down. I think they said that his PlayStation, was it Chris that explained it, or was it Seth that explained that he was going to use the PlayStation because all of Seth's were taken, his electronics were taken. So he was going to take one of the ones that law enforcement did not take from Chris Proudfoot and Katie Proudfoot's home. And then apparently, I think they said that Chris told Seth, so this is a stepdad, that somebody had hacked his account, so he couldn't give him the PlayStation because it was actually hacked and they did all kinds of things. So I thought that was interesting. And when you have, it's very odd because Seth was honest about Sebastian having some freedom, because I always say, I'm a mom of 3 boys, 1 little girl. My son is in the Army, and while we want to be as safe as we can, these kids give each other devices these days, okay? As young as elementary school, they'll come in and they'll give their friends their old iPads and their tablets and cell phones. And all you need is a hotspot. And hotspots are everywhere, all over the place. So many communities have free internet access. So many kids can easily have internet access that their parents don't know about. And they can get prepaid, tiny little, what are they called? Hotspots that are the size of like a Kit Kat bar. All right. They're so small that you wouldn't know it. So to me, you need to let your children have the freedom, but be brutally honest. Make them learn self-defense. Show them Operation Protecting Tomorrow. Show them the real dangers of what looms on the internet. You have to, in my opinion. This is my advice, because in this day and age, I do not believe that we can keep children off of these things. I do not believe it. I know people get mad at me. I've had all these debates because a lot of times over the years, we've had to do homeschooling because my son has that ultra rare condition. And sometimes he has to be homeschooled. He cannot go to school because of the risk of infection and things from his ultra rare condition where his skin, falls off in blisters and stuff. And we have engaged with so many different teachers and moms, and they get very mad and very triggered at me when I try to express why I do not think it's a good idea to think that we're controlling their internet usage. My mom was a teacher for over 30 years in New York City. So I've heard all kinds of things from these kids. Not only do the kids give each other devices, sometimes it's creepy, snuck in creepers that somehow get a job as a janitor, or, it is what it is. I'm sorry to go on a tangent, but I just wish more people understood that these children will find a way to do it. And if they're sheltered, I feel like that's more risky, because then you have no idea what they're doing. They're not going to let you know. And while in the beginning we were told Sebastian was autistic, they gave us pictures of Sebastian that was much younger, right? He looked so much younger in appearance. He had gone through the hormones. He He had a growth spurt, his jawline, and his whole, appearance had dramatically changed when we saw the Texas Roadhouse. And while his father was trying to show us updated photos and tell us he had access and that he was very capable, we had the mom and stepdad that were saying he has no internet access, he's not capable. We didn't even know if he was verbal because there was all these things said about be careful when you're out looking for him. And, oh, guys, you know me, I could go on and on and on. And you never thought that he had access. You didn't think that he was capable, right? That he could understand. And then all of a sudden we find out he could play chess. So I'm just going to say, I believe that when the stepfather just came out and gave this revelation that, yes, Sebastian was on different things on the phone, that there's always a chance that he could have met somebody on the internet, right? In one of these sneaky places, like Snapchat, like with James Yablonsky. He was leaving a Snapchat. He didn't have these on his phone. And he took his father's phone with him when he left that day, because what everybody speculated is that he had to take his dad's. It had not only had a hotspot on it, but it could allow him to use his devices through the hotspot. And it's just awful, because these predators, bad people. And then you also, I'll take a breath in a second. I'm almost done, guys, I promise. But you also have these people that are not taking their meds, right? We have a lot of people that are mentally ill, and they may not be on the right medication, or they're not taking medication, or it's not diagnosed yet, and they're not being treated. And what happens is that they think that they could fix somebody. So they hear that a child maybe is having a bad time. Maybe they hear that, oh, there's CPS in and out, and they're not being treated right, and they're not this, and they're not that. And then they go out and they do their own vigilante justice. They're in a complete psychosis, and they don't even know what they're doing is wrong. And now you got yourself into a mess because you are now a kidnapper. I'm just speculating, but these are all the different things that have happened. These are all things that have actually occurred in society, especially with the internet. And so many parents, they really think that they have everything locked down, and there is no way that my child is going to get one over on me. But then we find out that not only that, Sebastian, had some sort of a makeshift ATM that he made that was hidden in his closet that they didn't find until later. So you're going to tell me that Sebastian couldn't have had his own, device and been communicating? No, I don't believe that. But I could go on that rabbit hole forever, because I feel like so much time we were all looking and sharing information that didn't have any value if it's not true and accurate. So it just, all right, my rant is over. I'll take a drink now of my water. But there is so many things these days. Let me catch up with you guys in chat. It really is, Trishy. It truly is. Oh, there's so much, Little Reddo. Whenever you have a chance, we'll have to catch up on the phone and I can fill you in. There's so many different things. Oh my goodness. Oh, Amy, there's always creepers, right? I forgot whose channel I was in, and they were all having a discussion, that I know it's overused. It's a very overused term, right? Good and evil. We often get so desensitized to certain words now because it's used so much, but they were discussing like evil really doesn't discriminate, right? It's creepers and bad stuff. They sneak into everything. They can sneak into schools. They can sneak into doctors. They can sneak into law enforcement. A lot of times they can be right in front of us and you have absolutely no idea that it's right in front of you. And it's been around forever. It's just evolved. And I feel like there's this false sense of security that a lot of families get when it comes to the internet. Because now with the internet, the internet is good and it's, not good at the same time. But there's always been, nappers out there, K-nappers. There's certain words on YouTube, but kid, nappers and horrible things. I'm happy that you had the forethought and the ability to know not to do it, not to send anything. Definitely. He could play chess, right? We were hearing all about him playing chess. I can't play chess. Oh, yes, Amy. I have a real interesting one. When I was younger, my friends and I, we used to go hang out at this, I don't know what you would call it, really. It was like an off-grid spot, like in the woods. It was by where they used to have hiking trails for Anthony's Nose and things in New York, by the Hudson River, by like Stony Point, right along that area where Anthony's Nose is and things. And there was these spots that a bunch of my older friends loved to go, and it was a known place that a lot of people would go, and you'd have a fire and you'd hang out. And once in a while I would go with a group of friends, and it took a long time. It never dawned on me, but one of the guys that would be there, his name was Lou, and he was a school teacher for years. He was I think he was in his 30s. He was in his early to mid 30s, and he was always there, and he would always hang out with this one girl. And it never clicked in my head, the pervy part of that. Like, it just never clicked in my mind. She was 13. I think she was like 13, 14 years old, because I was 17, I think 16, 17. And it was my friend's sister. So they weren't like my circle of friends, but when you go out with some of your close friends and then they have family or friends, and you'd run into other people. And back when we had, we actually all got together because there was no internet like that. We had the big old fashioned Nextels, and I think I had an I-95 then, which was like a miniature version of the big old, Nextel, the big Nextels with the bleep bleep thing. And we used to go up there, and it was very odd the way that he was. And it didn't dawn on me until I was much older how awful that was, really. And that was right, like, real perv. I think he did get in trouble. From what I was told, he actually did get in trouble after that, but the warning signs were all there. Now I understand why he lost his job. But the reason I'm bringing this up isn't even because of that. It's because things would be moved when we were up there, and it was very odd. And I've never been big into like the horror movies and creepy stuff. I get scared. I say my prayers the whole time. So it wasn't my forte. But it turned out that there was somebody that was in the woods, and it wasn't just, people playing pranks on each other, that somebody was actually in the woods, which happens a lot, right? There's a lot of things that happen where the people will go up and along the Appalachian and stuff, and they're on the run and blah, blah, blah. And years later, we found out, my Nana told me about how because I had to talk to an investigator, that my phone, among other things, were found in a makeshift little site for a really bad man. And I was one of the people on his little hit list for who he was going to get next. So thankfully I never went back, and he did get caught, but it took years, I guess, before they could track down, information. And they called, obviously, my guardian. But my Nana never told me about it until I was much older. And I remember somebody coming and asking me questions about being up there. And that's what my friends and I were just talking about this when we brought up the, the teacher guy and how young and silly we were, because as kids you may realize something's kind of off, right? But we are very naive to just how dangerous things can be. But yeah, I got myself almost into a real bad situation because of where we were. And it was very high up in the middle of nowhere. You're not supposed to be there at night. I don't even think you're really supposed to be in the part that we would go to, because it was really off the trail. But we do all have our stories where we've gotten ourselves into some messes, right? Maybe one night we can have a show. If you guys want to email, you could be anonymous, and share some of your stories and we can go over them. So I can't imagine if I was young this day and age with the Snapchats and all of that. I mean, oh my gosh. Hey, how are you, Captain? It's nice to see you. Oh, wow, Poppy Love. That's so neat that Johnny Cash was from it. That is a really neat story. I saw that Amy mentioned it earlier. That's so neat. What a small world that you were in the house across the street. That's so neat. Thank you for stopping by. Oh, my goodness, Amy. You were only 7? Wow. Let me open the chat because it's very delayed in the StreamYard. It's really delayed. Let me just open it up here. I'm just going to play the recent update about James Yablonsky. This was just a couple weeks ago.
Transitioning into senior living can be over.
Well, I try to open another chat tab so I'm not so far behind.
A Sauk County father says he wants his son, who went missing almost 2 years ago, to come home.
As Cameron Kelly reports, each day gets harder without James Yablonsky.
A 6 a.m. wake-up call.
They get the kids ready for school.
Then this dad is off to work.
Trying to stay busy.
Although he loses sleep at night, thinking about his son, James.
He was 13 when he went missing. He's 15.
James was last seen on June 12, 2023 at his Sauk County home. Investigators believe he drove the family's vehicle to Baraboo and left it abandoned near Highway 12. Bill is frustrated about how his son's case was handled.
I think should have been done different. And do I blame them for not finding them right away? Yes, 100%, I do.
Ever since June 12th, 2023.
Sauk County investigators say they have spent months working on this case and communicated with Bill a few weeks ago.
We have not withheld information from him. He's been upset about some personal belongings that we have that may or may not be evidence. But we've tried to accommodate him with getting pictures and stuff, such off of those devices.
As a parent himself, the detective lieutenant could only imagine what the Yablonskys are going through.
It drives us more to want to find a resolve to the case. But it's been frustrating just because, like I had alluded to before, the leads that we have had come in all turned up empty.
Which has left Bill feeling heartbroken, making each day harder to get through.
If it wasn't for having the other kids at home, I would have given up a long time ago. They're the ones that keep me going and push to get through.
The pleading dad has a message for his son.
I want to let him know that he's not in trouble. He's not going to be in trouble for anything and for leaving. We just want him home.
The 2-year anniversary of James's disappearance is now.
Isn't that heartbreaking?
Next month, on June 12th, Bill, along with his 3 other children, plan to go back to the area where law enforcement searched. James Yablonsky's story was highlighted during Monday night's episode of America's Most Wanted Missing Persons. A link to watch the full episode can be found within this story on our website at fox11online.com.
I was going to show that one clip from. Trying to see where, because the grandma had done an interview. It's not it. They had thought that he went off on a survivalist type of thing because his grandparents had given him a couple survival guides for the holidays. And the father has always insisted that there's no way. Oh, where is that interview? Look here. Let's see. I started a poll, guys. I was going to ask a couple questions if you have a second to answer. It's anonymous. We don't know what your answer is. But I did ask, and I pinned it into the chat. Do you think that there is a sealed indictment in Sebastian's investigation? And then I'm going to ask a couple others just to see what you guys are thinking. See, the FBI did get lie detector tests. Let me show you this real quick.
New at noon, investigators have revealed the FBI gave lie detector tests to relatives of a Sauk County teen who's been missing since July 12th. 13-year-old James Yablonsky's father reported him missing from his family home in Reedsburg. Phone and a ping led sheriff's deputies to search Devil's Lake State Park, where they found a makeshift.
Devil's Lake State Park is where the makeshift campsite was found.
Campsite. Sauk County detectives say the FBI joined the search 2 weeks ago and have been giving lie detector tests to family members and potential witnesses.
So there was FBI involvement. Was it you, Little Redo, that asked if there was FBI involvement?
For new information in the search for James Yoblonski, the Sauk County Sheriff's Office says devices linked to the missing teen were used to conduct searches on how to leave the state. The 13-year-old Yoblonski has not been seen since June 12th, when both he and his family's vehicle were reported missing. The sheriff's office stated one device belonged to the Yablonsky family and James could access it. The other device was issued to the teen by the Baraboo School District. Both searches were conducted using a web browser, and other searches of places inside Wisconsin's borders were also done. Now, investigators have not found any evidence that James has been in any of those locations he searched.
Now, that was over a year ago, but I think it's good to just have some context. I'm just looking for the interview where the grandma, I believe, discussed the missing person that they had in the family. Let's see, is this it?
Family and many volunteers headed back near Devil's Lake Park Saturday to continue searching for the missing 13-year-old.
Well, I think it's impressive. We have a fair number of people out here. It's good to see some of it is family, but many of the people local, some came from a fair distance.
Andy Wagner, James's great-great-uncle, and his wife Mary were among the many searching for James. Wagner says he's familiar with the area, but doesn't have much experience with the rough terrain they think James has made his way through.
I've walked the trails of Devil's Lake Park, but I've never been off with it there. It's I think it's pretty heavily wooded and pretty hilly.
If being family didn't make this personal enough, Mary Wagner, Andy's wife, says this isn't the first time someone she loves has gone missing.
30 years ago, actually, my daughter, Lori Deffis, disappeared up in the Menasha area. And at that time, I was so grief-stricken, I wasn't allowed to search or anything. And so for me, it's kind of a longing I've always had is to be able to help to look.
Where did she say? I'm sorry. Let me rewind that. Where did she say that she went missing?
Pretty hills, pretty hilly.
If being family didn't make this personal enough, Mary Wegner, Andy's wife, says this isn't the first time someone she loves has gone missing.
30 years ago, actually, my daughter, Lori Defis, disappeared up in the Menasha area. And at that time, I was so grief-stricken, I wasn't allowed to search or anything. And so for me, it's kind of a longing I've always had, is to be able to help, to look.
The Wegners say they can't help but let their minds wander, but are determined to find closure.
This is probably not the last day we'll be searching. So think about maybe helping if there might, I'm not sure there is going to be further searches, but there might well be. So help if you can.
In Sauk County, Grace Alch, 27 News.
Yablonsky's father tells 27 News people found another campsite and dried up toilet paper during today's search. He says he's optimistic James is close. We also reached out to the Sauk County Sheriff's Office and officials.
Isn't that interesting? I thought there was another. There was another one where more family had talked. Let me see, is this it?
Marcus Arsvold talked with the missing Reedsburg Teens family and tonight's event organizer who aren't giving up hope, Marcus.
James Yablonsky's sister and brother released this balloon. On one side, there's a picture of their missing 13-year-old brother, and on the other, it says, "Come home soon, James."
Thank you very all for coming. Really appreciate it.
About a dozen people from places like Necedah, Watertown, and Reedsburg supported one another at the place where it's believed James Yablonsky disappeared.
There are a lot of people who care about James and want him to come home.
Nikki Danick doesn't know James's family, but that didn't stop her from organizing the gathering, hoping to keep his name out there.
He went missing and it just feels like nobody was looking all that hard for him. They just decided he was living in the woods and that was it. And I don't think most of us feel that way.
Sauk County Detective Scott Steinhorst acknowledges they don't believe he's in the woods anymore.
Through the exhaustive search that we did there, we don't believe that he's there. No. We put a lot of man hours in there, a lot of boots on the ground, aerial resources. It's not likely that he's in that location.
Steinhorst says they're not giving up the search.
We're still hoping that we...
All right, well, I guess...
Like I said before, a resolution to this case. And we're going to keep working on it until that happens.
James's dad, Bill Yablonsky, won't give up either.
Just keep looking. That's all we can do. Keep praying and hoping that he comes home soon.
Keep his name out there. You know, somebody had to have seen something. So if we keep his name and his face out there, maybe somebody will come forward.
The Sauk County Sheriff's Office says they still believe James is alive and that there's no evidence to support the theory that he was kidnapped or that any family member was involved in his disappearance. If you know.
So it's very similar, right, to Sebastian Rogers' case and stuff. And that's why I was saying, you know, what do you think of different potential sealed indictments? I don't know. It's possible, right? It's very possible. Let's see. Did you guys get a chance, anybody, to answer the poll? I remember when I was younger, I never wanted to tell Nana because I was always afraid she would tell Pop. I never wanted to get him mad. He wasn't violent, never, you know, physical discipline, but it was just something about, you know, you just didn't want him to be mad. Well, it's not very much more that I can think of besides, let's see, that one part of America's Most Wanted, let's see, where they talked about a positive turn in the investigation. Let's see. And Amy, I'm sorry if you got accidentally timed out or something. I'm not sure if that's what you guys were talking about, but I've done that. That's why I get nervous, because when I'm on the touch screen, if I have a wrench, and you can accidentally, do something by accident just by leaning on the touch screen. See, where is the part? I watched it on the America's Most Wanted, but I don't see it. This was the one with Sebastian Rogers, but I don't know. I thought James Yablonsky was in the next one, not in the same episode. Let's see. That's Sebastian Rogers. I think it's this one. Let's see if it's this one. Yes, this is the one that James was featured in. It was the second episode.
Parts the home in the van.
Elizabeth Smart went to Wisconsin, where James was last seen. His family desperate for any help, and Elizabeth offering hope in their time of need.
Now, I want to just say similarities. Elizabeth Smart taken from her bedroom. Sebastian last seen in his bedroom. James Yablonsky last seen leaving on his own accord in his dad's vehicle, but his dad thinks that he left under duress, and that the Snapchats were a script that he was reading, and that he didn't just say them, that he was being told what to say and stuff like that.
Every year, over 600,000 people go missing. James Yablonsky has been missing now for almost 2 years. There is absolutely still hope that he's out there, that he's alive, and we just need to bring his story to the attention of more people, because someone knows something.
Somebody always.
Scott County deputies found the family.
This is when he left. He was on his dad's cameras at the house. You could literally see the kid leaving. Can you imagine as a parent? Oh my Lord, I can't imagine. How terrifying.
Scott County, Wisconsin. On June 12, 2023, 13-year-old James Yablonsky was reported missing. Images of James leaving his home were captured on the family's home security system.
Early that morning, you see James Yablonsky carrying several bags out to the family van, and then he departs the home in the van.
I would have never seen James doing anything like this.
Scott County deputies found the family's van abandoned on Highway 12, but no sign of James.
Not knowing takes your breath away. It makes you wonder if you have the strength to go on.
Oh.
Hi, you must be Bill?
Yes.
Elizabeth.
Come on in.
Thank you.
This is my daughter, Natasha.
Hi, Natasha. I think this is amazing that you're doing this.
I just want them home. It's been too long.
How do both of you feel?
It's hard on her. Because they were so close.
I'm here because you deserve your brother back home with you.
Oh.
Do you have pictures of James here?
Oh, yeah.
Could I see him?
Sure. Come on, baby.
One of the things that is most heartbreaking is just like a giant gaping wound that his absence has left in his family's lives.
I'm a single father.
Oh, that is heartbreaking.
I have 4 children at home, 3 boys and a little girl, and James is my baby boy.
James is very warm and loving. He cares about people.
He loves tinkering with all kinds of engines and stuff, so that's why I bought him his own boat.
Oh, you bought his own boat?
It's a project he can look forward to working on, and it's his. I mean, the boat is waiting for him.
What do you guys think? I think we should watch the rest of this. Do you mind? I know I said I was going to discuss all of them, but I really would like to kind of just finish up with James Yablonsky. We could talk a little bit more, before we end later, because I didn't want to go too much over 2 hours to 2.5 hours. But I feel it's really important to kind of show everything when it comes to James to get the full picture. Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, Jenny. Nice to see you. Thank you so much for coming in. I hope you're doing well. But there are so many similarities that I've seen with these cases. And I'm just really hoping that if we could all encourage some of our other, favorite creators, maybe to try to just sneak James in there a little, just a few minutes, just so maybe more people can learn about his disappearance and, see something, say something.
Beautiful.
When police get called that morning by Bill reporting James is gone, the van is gone, his phone is gone, the police realize actually they have already had a hit on the van. Walk me through what happened.
A patrol deputy had come upon an abandoned vehicle along the side of US Highway 12, tagged it at about 4:40 a.m. that morning, and then the missing call from Bill came closer to the 8 o'clock hour.
The van was left on the side of the highway. There's really nothing in that area. Where did James go?
What was unique is Bill was missing his phone. And so one of the steps we took right away also was to get location information on the phone, what we call a ping. And in this case, the ping was coming back to the area of the van with a large radius. We go up into the woods and we ultimately locate a duffel bag and then a backpack.
The police do actually bring canines to the scene. And James' scent is with the belongings, but they can't find his scent in any other direction. Was he really the one that brought the belongings there? Or did he stop somewhere prior and get into a different car? Maybe someone else brought the car and abandoned it and then left the belongings up there. There are just no definitive answers whatsoever. Do you think it's possible that someone else came and dropped James's things there?
That is still a possibility.
His route that night, did it show anything other than his home and the location where the van was found?
The van starts out at Bill's residence, then it travels up and stops at a location outside of Wisconsin Dells, and that is Bill Yablonsky's business. In talking with Bill, he informed us that he was missing a handgun that had been stored at his business in the Wisconsin Dells area. So it is.
I just want to interject and say, isn't it an interesting similarity too when we compare and contrast? And we're not saying that they're connected. We're just for discussion. Remember, all parties innocent until proven guilty when we have these chats. But how they said somebody else could have dropped stuff off. Well, wasn't that a lot of the speculation in Sebastian's case too, right? Was that maybe these 3 a.m. video with the flashlights or, different things could be somebody dropping something off or bringing something back, things like that. It was a lot of the speculation sometimes.
Stops at a location outside of Wisconsin Dells, and that is Bill Yablonsky's business. In talking with Bill, he informed us that he was missing a handgun that had been stored at his business in the Wisconsin Dells area.
So it is a possibility that James went to his dad's business that night to retrieve a gun.
I thought I had it come unglued that morning when he was missing, but that was even worse. I just couldn't figure out what James was thinking.
Is that why James went to his dad's business? Was he meeting someone there? Did James take that gun?
Elizabeth, you spent some good time with the people who worry most.
I mean, I was most touched by his little sister, Natasha, beautiful little girl, just missing her big brother. To me, it seemed like they were incredibly close. There's such a hole that he has left in his family.
That little girl wants to see her big brother again.
Yeah. Well, the video of James leaving the house must have been so hard for his dad to see, but it could offer real clues.
Well, it's clear that he's got not only a backpack, but 2 duffel bags.
I'm just going to butt in real quick, little Redo, to answer that, because I know I say the same thing I ask myself a lot, like, how is there not all these license plate readers and stuff? But when I was living in New York, I was stopped at a red light and I got slammed into from behind. I would never have dreamed that there was not one stinking license plate reader in the whole strip. And it was a main road in New York, in Westchester, on the border of the Westchester and I believe Dutchess County line. And I had found out when I was going through all of that, that the reason that a lot of places don't have it isn't just the cost, but a lot of the citizens also object to the license plate readers as an invasion of privacy and all this and that. So I think a lot of it is because of the cost, and then also depending on, you know, what the communities feel. If they feel like it's an invasion, is it more of a help or a hindrance? But they're not as plentiful as I thought, because I can tell you, you know, when we chat sometime where this location was, and you would never believe that they do not have a license plate reader in this whole area, this whole big strip. You would never believe that in that spot, you would think it would be peppered in them. It was unbelievable. It was shocking.
Beautiful little girl just missing her big brother. To me, it seemed like they were incredibly close. There's such a hole that he has left in his family.
That little girl wants to see her big brother again.
Yeah. Well, the video of James leaving the house must have been so hard for his dad to see, but it could offer real clues.
Well, it's clear that he's got not only a backpack, but 2 duffel bags. In the initial hours of the investigation, it seemed like he had left the home on his own volition. However, if this is a grooming or luring situation, that really is a dangerous situation for any child to be in.
I agree. I've felt sad and scared as a 13-year-old boy before, and I'm hoping that someone didn't take advantage of James's vulnerability here.
In part 2, law enforcement officials weigh in on his case. Plus, a cryptic video James allegedly posted to social media. Stay with us. Welcome back. James Yablonsky has been missing since June 2023. Our Elizabeth Smart was boots on the ground on this one, meeting with law enforcement officials to get answers. In part 2 of the story, a disturbing Snapchat video, a missing gun, and a plea from a desperate father.
As law enforcement investigates further, Bill comes to them and says he's missing a gun.
What made it even worse was the Snapchat video that somebody sent to me.
Sorry for everyone who cares about me. It's not their fault. It's no one's fault. It's my fault. I chose to do it. I was scared, sad. I have no emotions anymore.
I watched it probably 4 times, and it bothered me. But the more I thought about it, it's not the way he talked. It's like he is reading from something. I think somebody made him read that to throw everybody off. This is the spot where the police found James's stuff.
My mind is blown. Like, we're walking this in the daytime. You think pitch black at night. 2 duffel bags, backpack. It's hard.
He had a bunch of clothes that James had taken from the house, but it was actually clothes that he never wore. My phone, a phone charger, some cords, a roll of toilet paper, and that's what was really weird. It was like it was sit there just to throw everybody off.
If you were going into the woods to harm yourself, what reason would there be for you to bring toilet paper? Why do you think you would have taken your gun?
My theory is he knew he was meeting somebody that he didn't know that he was talking to, and I think he took it for protection for that. James played online games, and I think he met somebody through one of those games.
Unfortunately, predators go onto these gaming platforms to find vulnerable victims. Does this place make you emotional being here?
It tears me up inside that he's not here right now. I just want him home.
I don't think he's out there by himself, but I think there is someone out there who does know something, and I think James is alive. So tell me about this boat.
It's a project boat. It doesn't need a lot of work, but it's something that we can do together. I've always tried to be the best father I can with James. I just feel like that maybe there's something that I did wrong to push him to leave.
If he knew about the boat, he would be excited about it.
Oh yeah, because he loved to fish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's being hard on him, wanting him to do better than I did, not make the same mistakes I did.
You spot the other similarity? The fishing. He loved to fish. And what did Seth and Sebastian love doing? Fishing, right? And even Summer Wells, she loved going to the lake. Yeah, the mom hasn't been in the picture. It's very hard to get info on her, but he's been a single father for what I saw pretty much since his little girl was born, it sounded like.
James was a strong-willed kid. If he thought something was wrong, he would tell you.
I think hope is so important. Like for me, it was knowing that my family loved me unconditionally that gave me the hope to survive. And I'm so grateful that my parents never gave up, because I think if they did, I don't think I would be here.
Him and his brothers and his sister mean the world to me. And without them, I don't have anything.
I just want to know, I pray for an answer. Whatever God gives us, I pray for an answer. And if someone is holding them, I hope they find a heart and let him go.
James, I need you here, and everyone else needs you here. Please just come home.
Elizabeth, it's so interesting to see his dad talk directly to his son. There was so much confidence around the story that he's alive.
I truly do believe he's alive, and I think making sure that his father doesn't lose hope is really going to be one of the key factors in helping to bring James home, because his father is the one keeping his story alive.
He was playing online games. We know that from the family. How can that help us find him?
What happens in gaming is you're dealing with strangers, and so many different things can be put in a young person's head to leave their family.
You play this game, I play this game. Okay, cool, we're friends now, right? We have something in common. That invites and opens the door for someone who might not have the best of intentions to already gain that trust with James.
So see, exactly what we were saying before, the games, right? And Sebastian loved playing games. Seth talked about how much he enjoyed the games, and there was also a big discussion with Laura Lodge about it. And remember Uncle Taco talked about playing on the phone, you know, and Sebastian would play on the ride to his dad's and on the ride to family and stuff.
So I'm a mom of 2 teenage girls, and you hope your kids are telling you everything. You think you know them and where they might go online. But the truth of the matter is you have to stay locked in on them.
What's unfortunate is Rodney's right. At the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, we operate the cyber tip line. We had over 400,000 reports of online enticement last year alone.
And that's just what's reported.
That's just what's reported. And if this is a case that he was lured from the home, the person that lured him might have come up with a plan with him and shared that plan that we're going to go camp and we're going to go hide out in the woods. And James might have found out very quickly that that wasn't the plan at all.
And that's why I was saying, you know, I had questions. I just was asking about, you know, the solar searcher, the letters to Esme guy, because of how much he was all about being in the woods. And if you were, you know, if you need to talk, my DMs are open. And, you know, just because I figured if he was out there searching with other people, they might know, they might be able to, you know, say, oh yeah, you know, but that didn't happen, right? But that's why I think it's important to see something, say something, because you never know. It's not intentional to cause problems or to accuse or anything. But when you see similarities and there's warning signs, you want to ask questions. That's what true crime is. So I still don't understand the outrage that has ensued over me asking about the guy that was searching for Sebastian Rogers that also posted about James Yablonsky. You know, I still think that obviously somebody that is acting like that should be investigated. It's America. I can have my freedom to give my hypothesis and my opinion. It's not accusing anybody of anything. It was just, you know, who knows if he's been out there all the time? You never know. Maybe he stumbled upon stuff that could be helpful. Maybe there's, you know, I don't know. But it was definitely interesting. And well, let's finish this and then I can.
Campsite where his clothes were found, it looks like the end of the story. But I wonder if that was actually just the first stop.
I mean, I think that the police were very, very thorough. They had the drones in, and then they came back again a couple months later with cadaver dogs, just in case they missed.
and nothing was ever found. You know, in my own case, they brought dogs to track me down, and they then thought that a car came and picked me up. No car ever picked me up. They had just lost my son. So, like, where do you go from there?
I don't want anybody believing that this whole case is germane towards Wisconsin. This is something that might have taken them across the country. So there's got to be work done locally, but yet at the same time, we have to do a lot more outreach nationwide to see if we can bring James home.
Absolutely. At this point, he could be anywhere in the United States. Enough time has gone by that he could be in any state. So if you're a parent out there, I know this can be scary, but parents should talk to their kids about situations like this. They should show this to their children.
No, I agree. I mean, my mom made me watch America's Most Wanted, and your dad was one of my heroes. Your dad's training videos, they're burned into my brain. So I think it's important that other young kids, that they're exposed to this. We can learn from these things. And we can also rally together to bring him back.
Absolutely. I mean, there is a young boy out there who needs our help. His family desperately wants him to come home. Parents, show your kids this show. Let's bring James Yablonsky home.
All right, we need your help to solve this case. Remember, if you have any information, please call 1-866-AMW-TIPS or go to our website, amwtips.com.
It's a little update, I think. Oh, there's a little update.
Welcome back. Take a look once again at these faces and some of their unique traits. It's up to us to keep searching for them. There is good reason to believe they are all still alive. Dane Elkins has been missing since 2020. He is about 5 feet 11 inches tall with brown hair and green eyes. His family is heartbroken without him, and they are counting on us to not give up the search. Ariana Fitz vanished in 2016 when she was just 2.5 years old. Thanks to age progression photo technology, we believe this is what she would look like now. Authorities are honing in on Las Vegas, the Bay Area, and Southern California. James Yablonsky has light brown hair. He's about 5 feet 11 inches. Investigators say they are so close to changing the course of his case. Study their faces.
Did you hear that?
Go online.
They're so close. Listen.
Has light brown hair. He's about 5 feet 11 inches. Investigators say they are so close to changing the course of his case.
Isn't that fantastic? A little update that they gave at the end of that. Isn't that wonderful? So it is definitely a positive sign that the investigators are saying that. And I think, didn't something like that come out about Sebastian a few, like back in January, February or something, I thought. And Clutch Them Pearls talked about it. Whatever happens, it's nice to know that there should be some answers to some of these children's disappearances. Just like with Suzanne, it took a long time. There were sealed indictments, but Barry is now in the claim, right? Did they ever give any update with Sebastian's? Let me see. I don't know what channel this is, but this channel had the America's Most Wanted episodes on it. I don't remember if they gave the update at the end of it. This was Sebastian.
Around 11 p.m. But the next.
They probably did, right? Because they do the update for everybody, I would assume. Let's see. What was the update for them?
And with your help, we can bring the missing home to the people who love them most. Take a look once again at these faces. Sebastian Rogers was 5'5" when he was last seen and wears glasses. His parents are desperate for any information about their son. Geologist Daniel Robinson vanished 4 years ago in Arizona.
Oh, no.
He is missing part of his right arm. And the 6 people missing in Missouri, including 2 young children. Naaman Williams could be the key to finding them. He's 270 pounds and has a tattoo between his eyes. Call 1-866-AMW-TIPS, or you can go to our website, amwtips.com. Next week on America's Most...
Well, that stinks. There is no update for them, like there was the other ones in the second episode. That's where I lean, Amy. That's where I've gone. And I've speculated the same as Little Red O too. I go back and forth, but I could see both. And then sometimes with Sebastian, I think, oh, well, maybe there was a plan and something happened. I don't know. I just pray that one day soon there's some answers for for their families. And if they're out there, that they're able to come home and be in a safe, stable environment. Now, let me change the thing here. The next thing that I wanted to discuss was a little bit of Lilly and Jack, because there was some information by the grandma and the stepdad gave the interview, and there's a lot of similarities that I'm seeing with these cases, and some of them are, oh my goodness gracious. I'm going to play it, but I'm looking forward to seeing if Deception Detective covers it, to see if he'll go over some of the newer interviews, because I don't know. I just don't understand some of these people when they talk about things, well, I'll show you. Lilly and Jack's paternal grandma really confuses me, because it's odd that her son was living with her for 9 months, but they didn't advocate to try to see the children again and stuff. It was just very interesting interview. Let me see if I could pull this up. And again, let me put the flyer up for James while I do that. And his favorite color is green. There is another news. There's a bunch of little news clips about James, and they do talk about his favorite color being green, just like Sebastian's. Maybe in another live, we'll go over some more of all of those. But let me do that while I pull this up here. Let's see. And thank you guys so much for tuning in, giving me your feedback on things. I appreciate it. I always enjoy hearing everybody else's perspectives.
My heart tells me these.
Okay, so here's the grandma.
These babies are gone. My heart tells me that. I am the grandmother of Lilly and Jack. I am the grandmother of...
So she starts out right away with saying that her heart tells her that the babies are gone.
Gone. My heart tells me that. I am the grandmother of Lilly and Jack. I am the grandmother on the biological father's side. My son is Cody Sullivan. He's not in jail. He's never been out west. He does not have a criminal record. And right now he's living with me. He has been for 9 months.
How did you find out that Lilly and Jack were missing?
The mom of my grandson called me. We were in town. She asked if I heard the news. She sent me the article that was on Facebook showing the kids missing. I couldn't call Malay yet, so I waited till we got home. And I called, well, I didn't call her, I texted her. And she told me that, yes, that the kids were missing, that they've been missing since this morning. I was in a
Isn't that interesting? So she waited and she texted instead of calling her. She just texted her.
Well, I didn't call her, I texted her. And she told me that, yes, that the kids were missing, that they've been missing since this morning. I was in a state of panic, shock. But in the back of my mind, I kept saying, well, they'll find them. I mean, I'm assuming that they'd find them. So I told her, well, we'll head out first thing in the morning and help with the search. It was around between 3 and 3:30 in the morning. A couple of cop cars pull into the driveway. The lights wake me up that I'm a fairly light sleeper, so I see the cars pull in, so I knew what it was. So they come inside. They only stood in the kitchen. They wanted me to wake Cody up, and they wanted to know when was the last time he had seen the kids, and that they were just making sure that the kids weren't here. And then they left. So we showed up Saturday morning, me and my sister, and we met up with my daughter, and we started, well, I asked Malaya, I said, Malaya, I said, you know your kids. Nobody knows their kids like their mom. Where do your kids normally go to play out in the yard? What direction do they usually like to explore? And she said, well, they always play up in the little woods right on the side. I said, well, okay. I said, we'll start from that point and we'll work our way out. We had spoken to a search and rescue, and we weren't allowed on the other side because that's where they were searching at the time. So we just started combing through the woods up through there. We were gone for a couple of hours. I'm yelling for Lilly and Jack. We always call Jack Jackie boy. And yeah, that went on for a few hours, but those woods, I started to feel that I can't see them being in the woods. There's trees everywhere. You literally have to climb over trees, climb under bushes. It is really, really thick. We come back.
Yeah, I can't imagine. And that's what all of us were saying. If you look at the terrain where they went missing, there's no way little kids are going to be able to go all through there. If anything, they go out to the roadways and stuff. In my opinion, there's just no way. Hi. Yeah, well, the dude, like he was saying, but unfortunately there was all kinds of technical issues that night. Based on one of the videos that were being shared, it looked like that. The issue with the videos that are shared is that based on whatever the enhancement, people are trying to enhance the photos and use different types of AI to try to see, better visuals. And because of that, there's 3 different styles of an individual, and it depends on what one you're looking at. One looks like a much older guy, and this guy's only in his 50s, and yeah, he can change his appearance. He's into theatrical makeup and things like that, but it's very hard to tell. And the thing is, then when you try to source the original footage, you can't really source it because Dog the Bounty Hunter has taken down the footage. He had put up on his YouTube, which I showed on another live. We have the footage on another live stream where I went to Dog the Bounty Hunter's YouTube, where he said this was the entirety of the footage, that there was no additional footage, that he was releasing the entirety of the footage, but that's no longer on his YouTube. So and if you read the fine print on his X, right, his team did not get the footage from Texas Roadhouse. His team was given the footage. So we don't know, was the footage enhanced before it was given to them? Was there anything done to the footage before it was given to them? What was the chain of command? That's the issue. So you can't really base anything on anything until you know the chain of command and who has sourced it and who has enhanced it and all that, yada, yada, yada. So it's really difficult to know. I mean, for all we know, it could be an orange coat. If it's from that night, and it's accurate, and you have 2 individuals that are dressed in the way they were dressed as if they're going to, Antarctica, I would think it's very suspicious. But it also leads me to think that, was there any chance that this is a reenactment? Is there a chance that there's different videos that might not have been authentic by the time they reached all the people that they've been given to? I don't know. I know that nobody here would do malicious things like that. They're presenting what they believe to be facts, but because I don't have any sourcing, I can't really say. That's the issue, right? I don't know. I have no idea. If it is authentic, which I can't imagine it wouldn't be, would people really do that in a missing child's case? I doubt it, but you never know, right? You never know. And then you have to wonder, okay, well, if all of this stuff happened that night and the Secret Service was utilized, you have the FBI that was brought in, the district attorney was with all the parents in the beginning, they all said they were thoroughly interviewed, but with the DA involved and the FBI, then you have to say, oh, well, then maybe there's a sealed indictment, or maybe there's a lot more that we don't know about, right? Because I don't believe law enforcement would ignore people behaving the way they were behaving. I'm sure they would be looking into it, but would it be open to the public? No, I think it would be a sealed indictment. I think they would never release any information. They're not going to say what evidence they have. They may say that they have no evidence, because if they're trying to look into an orchestrated event to the magnitude in which these videos present one to possibly be happening at that time, then it's going to be sealed. That's my opinion. But if that footage that, dude and so many other people were comparing, yeah, then it would look a lot like the letters to Esme guy. But we don't know with the sourcing. That's the issue. That's the problem. We do know that he had a video on his ex. He had a lot of content and all kinds of old social media. And then, and this was one of the photographs from a few years ago, where he was actually in a yellow coat, the same style, right? The same inner layers and everything like that. So that's where the dude was basing his hypothesis on, that one enhanced version of the Texas Roadhouse footage. Hindsight's been doing an amazing job, but because I don't know the sourcing on any of it, I can't ever concrete 100% say, right? But yep, you're right. That's why he thought that was potentially possible if that footage is, if it is. But then there's two other enhancements that make it a little confusing. That's all.
I can't see them being in the woods. There's trees everywhere. You literally have to climb over trees, climb under bushes. It is really, really sick. We come back out and I went in to see Malay again. I assumed she was in shock. She was very non-emotional, very just flat, monotone. But Malay is very soft-spoken anyway. That she's not usually excitable. I thought that's made her a really great mom. She was an excellent mom. She never raised her kids or voice at the kids. That it was always, now Lily, what did mommy say? And I used to think, now if anybody's meant to be a mom, it was her. A part of me still feels that.
Why only a part of you still feels that? What do you mean?
So isn't that interesting? So she's already kind of putting the guilt and the blame on her. And she didn't call her, she texted her. I just think this interview is very interesting. And yet these children's father hasn't been in their life, hasn't seen them, but has been living with her for 9 months. And she just so happened to be the area in which the children disappeared when they disappeared. She was visiting locally. I found this to be very interesting stuff.
After seeing the place, seeing the condition of the home, it was like the total opposite of what I knew of Malaya. She was always clean, very clean about herself, about the kids, about her home. This home looked more like a camp. Now, I don't know if it's from all the people that were there, because I didn't show up till the day after, but it was very unkempt. I was pretty surprised.
I love you.
Lily is, she was my little dream girl, that's the first granddaughter. And I love that she had the brown hair and she had a space between her teeth, which I had when I was a kid. So yeah, she was our little princess. Jack was such a sober, serious little baby that he didn't like to smile. You could tickle him and he would look at you ever so serious, like he was really studying you.
And so how long were your son and Malaya together?
3.5 years, I think it was, yeah. I thought they were the picture perfect family. Then Malaya started to tell me that they were having problems and she wasn't happy. She told me that she wasn't happy and she thinks she's going to leave. And I told her that we supported whatever she decides, that one good parent is way better than 2 broken ones.
And then how did that change your relationship with Lily and Jack?
I thought it was going to change, but it didn't. Yeah, it didn't change. Malaya, she was a sweetheart. Anytime we wanted to see the kids, she'd come by for a visit. She'd bring them by all the time. It was actually really, really good.
So when was the last time you saw the children?
1.5 years, almost, really. It's about 1 year and 9 months.
How did you deal with that?
Really, to be honest, maybe I didn't deal good enough with it. I looked at the fact that when her and my son separated, my son walked away. He chose to walk away, that she wanted sole custody of the kids. So she petitioned the courts for sole custody. And when she did that, he said he was done.
Were you ever?
So, I mean, I don't know. I just think this is all very odd. I mean, how do you have a great relationship with them and then all of a sudden you're not seeing them for a year and a half and the only reason you're not seeing them? I don't know. Her interview, to me, there's a lot of keywording that's really just, oh my goodness. I swear these cases, right? Very difficult. Very, very, very difficult. Oh yeah, Little Redo. I guess I haven't really gotten into all the stuff with the footage because to me it's like, it's great to start call to actions. You want to keep his name out there. You definitely want to get attention to the cases, but so many things I just don't understand. Like, I mean, I sent plenty of letters and things months ago. I don't know what you would wait for. That's just my opinion. If you're concerned about stuff, I also have suggested and recommended, and Wally just had a show on this with Legally Blonde, and this is what we were saying a year ago. You can easily just go and make an appointment. The Attorney General will make appointments with you, and they'll, sit down and talk to you. You can make appointments with the assistant governor, and there's a lot of things that you can do to meet people locally and make appointments and go in person, and before, going to so many outside agencies may not exactly be as helpful. You could do it all, right? But I haven't talked about doing all those things because if you recall, we were told for a while not to talk negatively about law enforcement because, so a lot of times I think that there's a lot of us that, we'll send letters and we know how to advocate and we just don't do it on live streams. We're not trying to get, as the teens say, clout and clicks and views. But to do call to actions and stuff, I think you do have to really, have a good chain of command. And when I keep looking into the footage, it's so difficult because the chain of command that I run into is Katie Proudfoot and SF Investigates. So if you have people that are working with Chris Proudfoot and Katie Proudfoot that are sourcing these materials, and that's where a lot of this is coming from, then we don't know that it hasn't been manipulated. We know that they've done tons of reenactments. That was the same thing, like when I was watching and learning a lot about Nick Barris, the same thing with, the flashlight videos and all of that. It seems like, when you don't know the sourcing, you don't know, I mean, the neighbors came home and 2 weeks later, there was nothing. And then all of a sudden they come home and then voila, there's a video. So all I can think is and speculate is that maybe there is some sort of a sealed indictment and we'll have a lot of answers soon. And I just, I like Crime Time Buzz. I think what people are doing to keep Sebastian's name out there is fantastic. And I think that, it's sad because we should be able to have different hypotheses and different opinions and just agree to disagree. Some people are close with each other. They know each other. They trust each other. And they can, feel secure in saying something for a fact because they know something for a fact. None of us on Mommin It Up can do that. So I'm not going to put my name to anything that I can't source. And I think it's kind of bizarre because people get really mad, but I don't know. It's very odd.
Formally questioned?
Yes.
So then it's about a month after Lily and Jack are last seen that they come and formally question you.
So it's about 3 weeks. They question Cody for an hour and a half in the vehicle, and then they question me for 2 hours in the vehicle.
How did that feel to you?
I didn't mind. I mean, to me, I expected I'm the grandmother, so it wasn't a surprise to me. I'm assuming the sooner they do all that, I wish they would have done it sooner, that the sooner they can move on. So I didn't have a problem. My son was a little upset about it. He said they made him feel like he did something wrong, and he said he hadn't seen the kids in 3 years. So he was a little upset about it, that he said that they really come at him hard. They wanted to know what her favorite color was. And he said, they were babies when I seen them last. He said, she was just learning what she wanted to figure out to eat. I don't know what her color is. So yeah, he was pretty upset.
Have they ever talked to him again since then?
A couple of days ago, they had contact and they told him that they weren't looking his way anymore, that everything was fine.
And have they ever given...
Don't you like this little common denominator we have of, oh, don't worry, we're not looking your way anymore. You passed your poly. Oh, we're not going to bother you anymore. Sealed indictment. I don't know.
Any information?
No, it's always the same thing.
Which is what?
They've got everybody on it. They are looking at all avenues. They can't divulge any information that could compromise their investigation. It's the exact same words.
Why are you so sure they're not in the woods?
I have children. I have grandchildren. And I see what kids are like through the woods. There's no reason for any child to wander deep into the woods. There's just not. I think somebody hurt these kids. I think somebody hurt them.
You don't sound very hopeful.
No. Our last day searching on Monday and seeing the woods and seeing the searchers and everybody everywhere. There's no way those kids are in the woods. There is nothing more pure and innocent than a 6 and a 4-year-old. And they deserve so much better than what they got.
Now, I just want to say, and remember, I'm not accusing, I'm just speculating and utilizing a little bit of skill set that I have in this life. How does she know? She says she has a feeling they're not with us anymore, that they deserve so much better than what they got. She supported that the son didn't want anything to do with his kids anymore. He was very angry and defensive being asked about the children that he abandoned, it sounds like. But Malaya was great. Very weird statement. Now, I know. Doesn't mean that she knows anything, but it just makes you wonder if there's some guilty knowledge, right? Something.
I know the truth. I didn't kill Lilly and Jack.
I know the truth.
6 weeks.
And I didn't unalive Lilly and Jack. But does he know other things about what happened to Lilly and Jack? I don't know. I'm just going to keep listening.
Now, since you've seen Lilly and Jack, I just want to ask, how are you holding up?
It's been a long 6 weeks. I know that everybody basically in the world at this point is always wanting to know like what happened. It's been from sadness to anger at this point. And I know the RCMP and major crimes are working around the clock trying to piece everything together. And I'm grateful for that.
Wow, he looks a lot like that image in the car, the blob. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm really not. But in all sincerity, remember how Prime Time keeps talking about well, you guys were chatting about it, I think, in chat, right? That's what you guys were talking about, right? With the Texas Roadhouse, but with the hairline and the widow's peak. Isn't that an odd similarity, though, that this guy has the same? Isn't that weird? Now, don't get me wrong. I know darn well we can't tell if that is Chris Proudfoot or if that's anything other than a reflection. I know. I'm not saying it is, but I'm just saying, isn't that interesting, though? We're doing all kinds of similarities. But it's just like with anything, your eyes can matrix on you when you're right. Your mind is always looking for patterns and always looking to connect things. And that's how come it's so hard not to get tunneled talking about cases. I have a very hard time with it too, right? I'm just like all of you. So do detectives. So does everybody that investigates, which is why you have to have a team and you have to have fresh sets of eyes, right? Because this is how our brains work. But I just thought I would show that to you because I thought that was interesting, right? Because we're talking about patterns, similarities, indictments. I am not laughing about Lilly and Jack missing. So for all the trolls that like to replay, don't take my laughing out of context because I'm not laughing about their disappearance. Nothing funny about children that have been harmed or missing or ran away at all.
From sadness to anger at this point. And I know the RCMP and major crimes are working around the clock trying to piece everything together, and I'm grateful for that. But it always leaves the question, 6 weeks has gone by, and we know at this point they're not in the woods. And where are they?
Did you feel in the beginning that they suspected you?
Of course. The stepfather was always a prime suspect right off the beginning.
You felt that from the beginning?
Yeah.
But you don't feel that now?
No, I don't feel that at all. I asked for the lie detector exam, the polygraph exam. I gave them my phone. I told them I do drug tests because there's a lot of rumors online about a drug party. I know the person that said those rumors, and it was just to take the heat off themselves.
Was there any kind of party?
No.
Was there any kind of gathering that someone might have thought was a party?
No.
There were no people at the house?
No, not the night before.
Okay, you mentioned you offered to take a polygraph test.
Yeah.
Did the RCMP take you up on that?
Not the night before.
How did that unfold?
Well, was there a couple days before or a week before? You should never have a party with littles at the house. I wish you would have done. I'd love to be able to interview these people. Wouldn't you sometimes when you're watching these? They never get the right follow-up questions.
That unfolded in my favor. They obviously know I wasn't lying about anything.
So they said, yeah, great, thank you, come in for a polygraph test.
Yeah, it took a little while to set up. And
when did you do that test?
I don't know the exact date, but that would be at least 3 weeks ago, probably.
So roughly 3 weeks after the disappearance.
Yeah.
And I think most Canadians wouldn't have any idea what's involved with that. Can you describe the process? You go in and just tell us right from the start.
We go in, sit down in a big comfy chair, and they have multiple sensory pads. You have them underneath your forearms, you have them underneath your butt, and you have them underneath your feet with your shoes off. You have a sweat gland on one finger. You have a measuring instrument for blood flow that goes in and out of your hand, and you have a cuff on your arm for blood pressure to measure your pulse.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was extremely nervous. Especially with the first question they asked you, did you kill Lilly and Jack?
That was the first question they asked you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What went through your mind when someone's asking you that question so point blank like that?
Your mind has a massive release of chemicals, I guess you would call them. It's like your stress levels just astronomically through the roof, and your body doesn't know what to do because it's not every day the way you're hooked up to machines in an interrogation room where someone asks you questions like that.
Do you remember Chris Proudfoot talking about how you can easily, fake a fake lie detector? So she's asking how he felt, and he's sitting there that his stress goes through the roof over this question. Why would that make you upset if you didn't know?
Yeah, it took a little while to set up. And
when did you do that test?
I don't know the exact date, but that would be at least 3 weeks ago, probably.
So roughly 3 weeks after the disappearance.
Yeah.
And I think most Canadians wouldn't have any idea what's involved with that. Can you describe the process? You go in and just tell us right from the start.
We go in, sit down in a big comfy chair, and they have multiple sensory pads. You have them underneath your forearms, you have them underneath your butt, and
I
you have
thought she
them
said
underneath your
something
feet with your shoes off. You have a sweat gland on one finger. You have a measuring instrument for blood flow that goes in and out of your hand, and you have a cuff on your arm for blood pressure to measure your pulse.
Were you nervous?
Yeah, I was extremely nervous. Especially with the first question they asked you, did you kill Lilly and Jack?
That was the first question.
Especially with the first question. Especially with the first question.
Yeah.
What went through your mind when someone's asking you that question so point blank like that?
No, I didn't do it. Oh my goodness, guys, I'm sorry, but this is bizarre.
Your mind has a massive release of chemicals, I guess you would call them. It's like your stress levels just astronomically through the roof, and your body doesn't know what to do because it's not every day the way you're hooked up to machines in an interrogation room where someone asks you questions like that.
What other kinds of questions did they ask you?
All the questions pertain to the death of Lilly and Jack. Are you accessory to the murder of Lilly and Jack? They were all.
So all of the questions assumed that the children are no longer alive?
Yeah.
There were no questions at all about, did you take them somewhere? Could they be somewhere?
No.
The police have done a number of polygraph tests. They've done 53 formal interviews. Do you know who these people are?
Yeah.
That's a lot of interviews.
It is a lot of interviews. A lot of them are my family, people who live in the area. And those interviews, typically my interview was 4 hours. And a lot of the interviews from my family were 1 to 2 hours. So there's a lot of time taken up and they ask detailed questions.
Do you know who else actually took a polygraph test?
I mean, I do, but I'm not going to say anything that's going to impede the investigation.
Okay. When did you find out the result of your test?
Immediately right after.
What did they say to you?
You did a good job, you passed.
And how did that feel?
Good.
And did you feel that there was any further suspicion on you after that point, or was that sort of conclusive?
No, that was really when I seen the turning point for it starting to taper off with investigators.
Do you know if Malaya has taken one?
I don't know if I can say it, but I will anyway. Yes, she did take one.
Okay, she took one. Do you know the result?
No. RCMP wouldn't let tell me I asked.
You said you feel like everyone in the world wants to know what happened to Lilly and Jack.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think this is getting so much attention?
Well, just the mysterious and nature of everything and how strange everything is. The RCMP, you know, I mean, they have to keep a tight lip on everything, but there's a lot more that meets the eye with the case.
Is there something that you think the public doesn't know that you can share, that you want the public to know?
That's a hard one because I don't want to impede the investigation in any way. It is still a missing persons investigation. It hasn't pivoted to any type of criminal investigation. But the kids were seen the day before. I know a lot of people didn't know that. I still see a lot of stuff online that the kids could have been missing for days. They were out of school for days, and they were seen in the Glasgow area on camera the day before the disappearance in the afternoon.
Where was that?
I don't know if I can say that, but it was near the Highland Square Mall.
Was it with you?
It was with me, Malaya, and Meadow, and Lilly and Jack were there too.
And are the police aware of that?
The police were aware of that since.
Do they have that video?
Yes, they do. I also talked to my coworker in the parking lot as well, and he verified that with investigators as well. So for all the speculation, they were gone days ahead of time, or they were seen the afternoon on camera before the disappearance.
Why do you think the police are asking for video dating back, you know, days before that?
Well, the reason for that is they want to see the traffic of the vehicles on the roads in the area, right? Maybe vehicles that were traveling that area a lot over the last few days prior to hand, or vehicles that, you know, weren't seen in the area, or vehicles that were seen in the area, like local people that are, you know what I mean, making frequent trips past the house, or which it's all considered evidence. I mean, more pictures and videos is the better.
They say they have hundreds of hours of video.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if they found anything on those videos?
I think it was up to 2 weeks ago, they had footage that they examined for evidence that was 8 kilometers diameter out from the house. So that was after a month. That's how long it took to get footage and review it 8 kilometers out. So
but what's on the video?
I don't know. I'm only limited by what they tell me.
How often are they in touch with you?
Investigators now, I'd say maybe once every 5 days. And usually I'm the one who calls or messages them.
And how's that changed over the course of the 6 weeks?
Well, from the beginning, it was almost daily, tapering off to where it's only like once every 5 days now.
And how do you feel about that?
It's good and bad. I mean, I like to talk to them in person about any little small details I come up with, or anything I can try to bring to their attention, which may help the investigation. So I don't get to see them often, so it's always over phone or messaging, and it's hard to really convey what you want to say when you're not in person. But then I also know the eye's not on me. The investigators don't see me as part of the disappearance.
How do you know that?
Part of the disappearance. That's an interesting statement. Part of the I gotta write that down. Part of the disappearance. Now he feels so comfortable. He's got his chain on and he's very comfortable to talk. Very inserting, right? He took over.
Well, when you're going from daily to tapering off every 5 days, I mean, I already gave them everything on my phone. I'm the one who originally said, here, take my phone. We'll go through all my banking information. We'll go through all my stuff on my GPS from Google.
And you were offering all that up, right?
Oh, Google, does not remind you of the family app that Christopher Proudfoot and them shared with their family, that they said they had the enhanced version and everything that they did was tracked through that app? As if it actually proves anything, because people can use other phones. You don't need to use the same vehicle. You don't need to use the same phone. I mean, I just think it's interesting when people use the same type of statements, as if maybe they study each other's cases or they think ahead of time and they plan to get rid of their children, or I don't know. It's very weird.
Yeah, I offered everything
And why were you doing that?
to show them that I want to get the investigation moving. I know I have nothing to do with any of it. A lot of speculation is you killed the kids. Let's come out and say it straight as it is.
What do you think when you read that?
It's a lot of nonsense, obviously. I know the truth. I didn't kill Lilly and Jack. And I just think a lot of people online they're seeking drama. That's the main thing. Everybody's allowed their own opinion, like I said before, but it's hard on the people that were actually there and missing the children. Still haven't got to see any of my kids, including Lilly and Jack. And that's been really tough, going from a family of 7, including my other 2 kids that live in Halifax now. Going from a family of 7 in the blink of an eye, your family's ripped apart and you're left alone.
A horrific story out of West Virginia. A man is facing more than 150 charges.
I know the truth. I didn't kill Lilly and Jack.
My heart tells me these.
Oh my goodness. You guys couldn't hear me. I was just talking for like, oh my goodness gracious. I'm so sorry. I'm still here. I didn't hit the unmute button. I was just, what was the last thing you guys heard? Thank you. My friend just texted me. I'm so sorry about that. What was the last thing that you heard me say? I was given my 2 cents on the red flags that I see and how risky it is. If the web sleuths start helping, if web sleuthing and YouTubers start helping Daniel, because I have a lot of experience, counseling and working in the safe houses with DV of all different, sexual preferences and male and female. And I just think it's very risky because he's not seeing his other 2 children for some reason. CAS, knows where Meadow is and knows where Malaya is. Malaya, can never say her name properly. And the Children's Aid Society is fully involved. So they would tell him if they wanted him to know, or the RCMP. I don't think it's good. I think it's a red flag for him to be going to the internet to try to track down Malaya, and she never has to talk to him again if she doesn't want to, And I know there's a lot of people that think that she did something or whatever, but I'm just saying they might both have guilty knowledge. I have no idea. I just think in these types of cases, it's important to be very cautious, because if they wanted him to see these children, he'd be seeing these children. There's a reason he's not getting visitation. There's a reason, for it. And I just think that with what just happened with Travis Decker, just recently, what he did to his 3 gorgeous, beautiful little girls, there's no way you would want to take a risk, right? You just wait it out, let them find Lily and Jack, let justice be served, or have them brought back if they're still with us. But I just don't think it's good for web sleuthing and YouTubers and TikTokers to help somebody track down the whereabouts of, their ex, and how much he's involved with Lily and Jack when he has these other children. It's just very odd right now, in my opinion, that there's all these people coming out to try to clear him, and I don't know. Oh yeah, Jenny, I totally agree. And I am so sorry, guys. I didn't know that it was on mute. Thank you for those of you that hung around. Oh, that happens to me sometimes, Jenny, when I get on a cleaning spree. I need it to happen more often, because most of the time I do not enjoy cleaning. But then I start cleaning, and then I keep going, and then I see a spot on the wall, and then I go to the walls, and then I get too fixated on the little things, and then 5 hours later, yeah, I agree, Jenny. Absolutely. I don't know. I agree. I tried reaching out, and I was treated very oddly. And then they called Trishy a moron, and I don't know why, because she wasn't talking about them. But I think they have been a little bit much. I mean, when you're putting the NDAs and contracts and stuff on your ex account, and then getting mad if somebody talks about certain things with NDAs and stuff. I mean, why'd you put it out there? You're the one that put it out there. It's just like nonsensical. They were putting things on X, and then people were saying, no, there is none. It was just very odd. So I just stepped back from all of it. Totally stepped back. And I was very concerned when you know, I was told all the stuff I was told about the one searcher guy, just because, you know, it was just a little a little concerning when people are telling you that somebody is an amazing person that helps search for missing people, and then you find out that you're being completely fibbed to because they actually have a very extensive criminal record and they were convicted in the unaliving of their own child. So I can only go based off of the criminal history and the public records that are accessible. But to me, that was not the same. There was not one thing of searching for missing people and yada, yada, yada. So I was like, oh, I got to back away from whatever this is, because I don't know who is who. It's all anonymous. You don't know who anybody is. I mean, the people that I was told to talk to for at night may not even have anything to do with Dog the Bounty Hunter. Because when, like I said earlier, none of us could source the Texas Roadhouse. Because Dog said it didn't come from him or his team. He said it didn't come from him or his team. Well, then how am I going to believe what is in the footage? It could be a reenactment. It could be enhancements before it even got there. For all I know, there's nobody in a sweatshirt and a yellow coat. They could have been like, you know, I mean, you have to source things. I'm not saying that that's what happened. I'm just, you know, giving hypotheticals. And it's very bizarre if you're trying to actually really help in a child's disappearance for anybody to get offended on wanting to source factual information. You shouldn't ever be offended that you don't want to send thousands of people to tie up law enforcement, because if you're caught doing that, it's illegal, right? We don't want to ever intentionally, you know, send people to call in things if we know that it's not legit. Like, we would never do that. You can't do that. It's illegal. It's you know what I mean? And it's just crazy because it was like, wow, we can't even have open discourse on stuff anymore. People get all cuckoo and triggered. And I like Crime Time Buzz, and I like, you know, hindsight and what they're doing. I think people, you know, could be great people and they're just doing what they believe in. So I'm not saying anything negative about anybody that's covering some of the footage. I'm just saying, for me personally, you know, I'm not going to change my hypothesis, because we could all agree to disagree and we could all have different opinions. That's what makes it healthy, right? That's what helps. I don't want to be in an echo chamber of my own thoughts. That's boring. Nor do I always want to be right. If any of us were right, all these cases would be solved anyway. Well, Dog had the whole video up I can show you the old live stream. We were going over it one night when I was doing my multitasking with Mommin, which I can't do because now that I'm in the 4-0 category, I have to go to bed and then I gotta go back to sleep when the baby sleeps 90% of the time now, or I'm just done. I'm too tired. And I'm trying to think of when it was. I could look for that live stream, but we were going over footage and I literally was saying, if we just had the whole thing, like, because we kept getting bits and pieces, I'm like, this is just ridiculous. Like, I felt silly that we were taking the time to look. I felt almost like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to keep Sebastian's name out there, but this is like, kind of like, what are we doing? You know? And then Dog posted the whole thing. Now, is Dog running his account? I don't know. I know a lot of times when you're doing channels and shows, you know, you get an admin, a producer, different people can run your X, different people can run your YouTube. So who knows? Did Dog post it, or did some of the people in the team post it? Who's the team? There's no public list of who people are. They could be on team Chris and Katie and team over here. I mean, you know, like, who knows? But I had seen that. It was like 40 something minutes long. It posted right after. And a couple weeks ago, it was gone. I went to source it and it was gone. The only thing left was one of the posts that Dog had on his X account. And he literally says that he didn't obtain, him or his team didn't obtain it directly. So I was like, oh, geez. Ugh. I know, Jenny. I know. And Dog has the tweet up on his account saying, quoting a message from was it Carter? Quoting a message from one of them saying, if you can identify green hoodie or whatever, and then send us whatever you get. It was like a message from him. And I'm like, did Dog talk to these people direct? Like, I really hope everybody's up to date on the days that we live in here, because people can spoof phone numbers. You can get phone calls and text messages that show a completely different number. There's a lot of like fakery that goes on in this world. So I just hope that some people are not, are like actually knowing that like they verbally met or did video calls, because they may not be talking to law enforcement. They may not be talking to anybody they think they're talking to. I'm just saying. And then Dog will be sued into oblivion. Kai, I don't think so. I don't watch them. People will send me clips, like if they're reviewing or talking nonsense about me or whatever. Most of the time I don't even watch those. But if he's on one of them, I do suffer through and listen. I mean, I know we're getting 99% hoopla, but still. I mean, I'm all about coming up with better strategies to getting people to engage more when there's missing persons, because there's not a lot of people that, overall, I think it's like, 30% of women are very interested in true crime. I'll have to look up the statistics again, and then there's a lower percentage that pay attention to the missing persons, because it's a very depressing subject. There's so many kids that go missing every day. There's eloping, kidnapping, parental alienation, parental abduction, the traffic situation, all kinds of stuff, right? And it's just not, it's a subject that most people do not want to embark on. So I'm all about trying to find ways to make it more, where more people will watch shows and will, like America's Most Wanted did, right? Those types of things. So I enjoyed the manner in which they were trying to present Sebastian's story in the beginning, because it was bringing in people that normally may not engage in these kinds of heavy topics. It's just they work all week, they have their own sorrows, their own trials and tribulations, and they just don't want to spend time, talking about these things, because it's so depressing, and you feel like, you can't, how do you pick one and not help the thousands of others? And so I thought what they were doing in the beginning was great. I think there's lots of ways that you can market and strategize to make it more interesting, so more people will learn about different missing persons cases, so that they can get more resolution, more resolve, and more children can get justice or laid to rest or be brought home. But I also know from an overwhelming amount of people that you never want to make money off of a child's disappearance. That triggers people a lot. And, they get very defensive when you talk about that. So I don't know. I think that's a really tough subject for a lot of people. Because if a child's a minor and the only people that can present their stories, to have them put out into documentaries or into, more organized content and marketing, then it would be the parents, right? That would have to be the beneficiaries. So I don't know how it all would work, but I've always been really convinced that Sebastian's case is going to have a resolve. I've always felt that there's been an actual investigation into a couple of these cases and that it's just not the traditional route, because social media takes over, and then, you know, different people know how to do things to make the cases more, you know, clickable, more money, more clicks, more views. They know how to, you know, keep the name out there. And I think that's changed the course of how certain investigations are ran. And we just don't know, right? We don't know what we don't know because we're not law enforcement. So well, the fact seems to be that we just have to trust everybody that we don't know how to trust, because we don't know who they are to source it, to trust it, right? So it's like, you can't, nobody's going to do that unless you know where something is from. You're not going to believe, you can't put your, it's just such a silly thing. And I think that it's a shame, because I don't think any of us should be arguing with each other. I don't think any creators should be mad at one another. I think it's awful to do that in the name of a missing child that was said to have already endured some bullying, wanted nothing but friends, was a kind young man. You know, his name's attached to all of this crap, and I don't think it's right. I think everybody needs to grow up and stop, you know, and it's sad. But then I don't understand what's going on either, because I'm like, what are they doing with the Texas Roadhouse? Like, where did it come from? And is this really helping? Is it like, or is this making things worse? I don't know. I have no idea. Luckily, I'm a tiny little channel, so I don't have that type of influence. Now, if there was 1,000 of you in here, then I would be really, really cautious with certain things, because I know you can get in legality stuff, you know, when you have influence. Yep, that's true, Loretto. I know, show poodles. That's what it seems like. I guess I just have a lot, I don't know. I just have this cognitive dissonance of thinking that there really is an active investigation that we're just not aware of. And that's what I think is what is really difficult when you learn about different types of sealed indictments and different types of investigative strategies that have been implemented over the years, is that it could provide some false sense of security that doesn't exist. And then you don't get the public pressure to go where it should, right? So then it's like, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. Because if there isn't one, then you've lost critical time. But for me, I just don't understand, like, what's going on any area of it, because you want to meet with, you know, you don't, in my opinion, you want to have meetings and sit down with people and get answers. And there's a way to do that that I haven't seen done yet, but doesn't mean that it hasn't been tried. Maybe we're just not aware because Seth, you know, doesn't come out and talk. He has a spokesperson. So maybe that's what, I don't know. I have no idea. What I do know is that so many of us do care about Sebastian getting justice and being found. And we know from the beginning something was wrong, because he wasn't this young child that was not capable of communicating and not capable of taking care of himself in ways that they didn't present to us. And we know he didn't just vanish. Exactly, Jenny. How are you doing, show poodles? That's exactly what worries me with a lot of stuff, Little Redo, is that sometimes it seems like there's a new defense strategy that's being easily implemented, that people know if they just toss a little money that they could literally do all kinds of things to ruin an investigation, including but not limited to having 100 people show up and tamper a crime scene. Who knows, right? I'm not talking about Sebastian exclusively. I'm just saying, a broad statement of what the good and the bad, I think, of our assistance on social media, Well, that was a big thing, Show Poodles, is that for months we were all told, do not talk about law enforcement negatively. Because I was like, we should be sending letters and let Seth get a meeting with the district attorney, let him have a meeting with the attorney general, get a meeting with the local governor if you have to, right? Then you can make your assemblyman and your, congressman and your senator. There's a lot of things you can do and literally have meetings. And I think Lolly just talked about this the other day, but I'm not giving myself credit. This is, a lot of people would have said this way before I said it too, right? Because there's people with all different skill sets and all different life experiences that have had to endure different things. So they know things, right? We all crowdsource from what we know. And, I don't know. It's just none of it. I don't understand. All I know is I pray for Sebastian and I pray for justice, and I pray that this investigation is as far along as I have been led to believe it is. But I have lost a lot of faith in understanding what the hell is going on. Well, they were saying that they were getting texts, Jenny, and that's what concerned me, because texts can be spoofed. You can think you're talking to one person because a certain number is coming up and it's not that person. Yes, Kai, I am. Right now I'm in Georgia, but my I guess full-time, my permanent, because you have to pick one address, right? Because I go from Tennessee to New York quite often for my pop, because he's in his 90s and he can't be moved now. But I live here in Tennessee. I've been spending more time outside of Tennessee than in Tennessee. Well, that's not that far. That's just a couple states away. Oh, it was hot today, wasn't it, Kai Kai? No, Jenny, because there's a proper chain of command. You have to actually make meetings and sit down. And if there is a real, if there's a sealed indictment or anything, we're not going to know. They're not going to take, it doesn't matter. Seth could be as innocent as the day is young. They're not going to tell him crap. Because they need things to be submittable in front of a court of law, right? So that's why I go back and forth, because I can see all different angles, especially if I talk to one of my good friend who's a lawyer, he tells me all kinds of things from a totally different perspective. Then I talk to my uncle, he's been a detective in New York City for years, he says a whole different perspective. So my mind just goes in 5 million directions, because I don't know. There's so many people that have been supposedly helping, that I'm just like, you couldn't get one meeting with any of these people? Something just seems really strange with that. I don't know what is going on. Especially if that was true, that they were on TikTok. I mean, I don't know if that is true or not true, because people can say they're somebody and not even be somebody. I've learned that. People can say, oh, yes, I am so-and-so. And then you find out that they're just somebody that pretends to be 5 different people, depending on the day of the week or whatever cases. And they just go case to case being different people. Oh, I miss my pool. But with Haley, it was too risky because she's an eloper and she loves the water so much that we just couldn't. That was another one of the main reasons that we knew we had no choice but to relocate, because when we took the pool out, then she was trying to scale the fence to get to the neighbor's in-ground pool. But I've been getting her swimming lessons, and she's actually doing very good, thank God. Because all the kids learned how to swim, but with Haley's different abilities, it's kind of hard, because she couldn't communicate and understand. So, but I can't wait to have an in-ground pool, even above. I'm not picky. It's so nice to just be able to walk outside. I'm a homebody type of person. I like to be home. I like to have a staycation if I can. But when I was telling my husband, even when things were really tight financially, and we were young and we were starting out, I felt like $1 million when I can just go home and float in my pool. Oh, there's so many different types of pools now compared to what there used to be too. So many. I wish the options for above ground are limitless, and the decks, and you can have nice custom decks put around them too. So you don't even really, it's not that drastic of a difference if you're looking for, adding. But the thing is, as you know, I'm sure, little Reddo, for some reason, putting a pool in doesn't seem to add to the value of a home. You would think it would, but it doesn't seem to. Yeah, I feel like once you have a pool, you're never the same without. Right, Jenny? Like once you've had one, it just doesn't feel the same if you don't always make sure you have one. There's pool people and then there's not pool people, right? I have to go to California in 2 weeks, so I'll be on, what is it, West? Because I was on East Coast, then I went back to Central, and then it's 2 hours, so it would only be 11 in California. Pacific time. It shows that I need to wrap up and get my butt to bed because I couldn't remember. That's right, Pacific Standard Time. This week has been one of those weeks. Weeks. My older son, I found out, is going to be going to Poland with the Army. He signed up for some sort of extra thing, so he's going there for 6 months, and I'm like, oh my God. I knew it was going to be really hard. I was raised in a military family, and I knew it was going to be really hard to have your own child serving. I didn't think it was going to be this hard, though. That's why I just can't imagine with some of these cases how the parents can be, because I'm a pretty, tough mama, and I don't really, get too emotional. You kind of get calloused when you've been through a lot of stuff, right? And sometimes it comes off like you're desensitized. But when it comes to my oldest son with the military stuff, oh my gosh, I'm like a blubbering baby. I'm like, why would you want to go there? And I'm always, reminding myself, I can't influence him. He has to make his own decisions. I want to make sure that the things that he does in life are what he wants to do. And as long as he knows we would support him no matter what he chose to do, whether he was going to do college. But I'm like, Poland. Oh. I'm not positive yet, Kai, because he just, in the letter he sent me, because they get their phones on Sundays for a little bit. And I was in a part of Tennessee that had no cellular service, like zero for like a long time. And I keep forgetting to get the Starlink Mini set up in the car, and then you could have the satellite. Starlink is very affordable now, guys. I don't know if you've looked into that, but it's actually quite affordable now. And so I missed his call. So 2 weeks in a row, I didn't get to talk to him on the phone, which I'm grateful that they could use the phone, because when my brother and people were in there, they hardly had any access to the phone or the internet. As time went on, you get the internet. But I didn't get the full details. I found out from my ex-husband, his dad was trying to give me, I guess he was trying to break it to me because he was afraid I don't want to influence his decision, but I really don't want him to go to Poland. I'm like, Poland, not that there's anything wrong with Poland. I'm not saying that. It's just very far, right? It's very far. I'm not a flyer, but I know that he would love to go, and I know why he would pick it, because, he has some Polish ancestry. We have some Polish ancestry, and I'm sure it's an opportunity. Because that's all he's ever wanted to do. He's always wanted to be one of those guys that gets to jump out of the helicopters in the middle of nowhere. He wants to go to Ranger School. So that's why he joined Air Assault at Fort Campbell. He was doing the Marines, and then he got sick of it because he was in the delayed entry program when he was in high school. So they did a lot of training for a long time. They train and train and train and train until basic training. And then all of a sudden, he decided that he was just going to switch it up and go to MEPS and join the infantry instead, because he didn't want to wait till July to get into the Marines. Like, okay, whatever you want to do. I'm very proud of him. But I'm going to go lay down. I'm going to see. Oh, excuse me. So sorry. I'm going to go see who's on. I like to go check out Lady Freedom. Is she on? Let me see if she's on, because I can give you guys her link. Yep, she's on. Here, let me give you her link. If you guys want to come over. I'm sure she's chatting about all the cases. I'm going to be doing my best to try to come on earlier at like 8 or 9. So like 8, I'm trying to think, like 9 Central is 10 Eastern. So I was trying to do 8 so that it's like 9 Eastern. And try to be a lot more concurrent relaunching the channel because I am not working right now. I only have one little volunteer thing. They've cut back a lot at where I do the temp assignments and a lot of the remote work. So I'm going to try to put the time and effort into seeing if I could do the YouTube channel more and just come up with better content. And it'll probably be a lot shorter, although I always say that. And then because I don't get to talk to you guys, I sit here and I can't shut up for 3 or 4 hours. But maybe if I'm doing it more consistently, it won't drag on for so long. But I'll put time points in the comments below so people can skip to what they want to know. It's just I thought it was important to take the time with Yablonsky because a lot of people didn't know about James Yablonsky, not Yablonsky, James Yablonsky. And if people are doing comparing and contrasting cases and similarities, not meaning that they're connected with the same reason the child left, but it could be the same principle, you know, there's just similarities. Maybe it's somebody covering something up or who knows what's causing the similarities, but it would be easy to insert him into some of the other channels that are covering other cases, even for 5 minutes. So I'm hoping that if I talk about him more, that other channels will pick him up because I feel like he's out there somewhere just because of how he was in the woods and he was out of the woods and he's literally on video leaving. So in my opinion, I mean, it's pretty obvious his dad had nothing to do with it. Although there's a lot of people that thought his dad had something to do with it, which I just couldn't understand. I mean, the kid's on video leaving in his dad's truck, but I digress. But I'll hang out with you guys over at Lady Freedom's Raw Narratives. Don't forget to like and share if you'd like, and join the memberships because I'll be putting a lot more of my regular stuff over there if you guys want to see me momming it up, taking the kids places and doing little things. I'll put that there just like I have on our other, I have the family stuff, but that's through Facebook and it's not connected to true crime. But it was great to see you, Jenny. Thanks for sharing your thoughts with us. I understand them. I agree. And thank you, Little Red. I understand and agree. So I hope we could all head over there, everybody on X, because I see there's 77 people watching. So both of you must be from X. Oh, wow. A lot of you are from X. Lady Freedom's got to start streaming to X as well in different places. I'll have to tell her how to do that. But if you want, come on over to Lady Freedom's Raw Narratives. Until next time, guys, take it easy, be well, see something, and say something. Much love, everyone.
Woke up before the dawn. She's got her armor on, fighting for those who can't. Champion with a loving champ. Investigate the hidden truth with a pen sharp and couth. Unlocks doors with every word, and justice never goes unheard. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough. Advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Canceling in every call, patching up before the fall. She sees the good in every face, spreads hope all over the place. Like Dr. Phil with a softer touch, opinions from below so much. Her guidance is a shining star, lifting lives both near and far. Oh, she's momming it up momming it up with a heart so tough. Advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Makes the world a little more wild. Makes the world a little more wild. Woke up before the dawn, she's got her armor on, fighting for those who can't, champion with a loving chant. Investigates the hidden truth with a pen sharp and couth, unlocks doors with every word, injustice never goes unheard. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough. Advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Counseling in every call, catching up before the fall. She sees the good in every face, spreads hope all over the place. Like Dr. Phil with a softer touch, opinions firm but love so much. Her guidance is a shining star, lifting lives both near and far. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough. Advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Like Dr. Phil with a softer touch, opinions firm but love so much. Her guidance is a shining star, lifting lives both near and far. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so tough. Advocate for every child, makes the world a little more wild. Woke up before the dawn, she's got her armor on, fighting for those who can't, champion with a loving chant. Investigates the hidden truth with a pen sharp and couth, unlocks doors with every word, injustice never goes unheard. Oh, she's momming it up with a heart so